Okay, what's up, everybody? I have a special treat today. Disillusioned Druid is joining us to talk about the Meteorite Cult. Just to give you a quick rundown of what he talks about, or one of the many things that he talks about. I'm just gonna play this video that I compiled of some of his stuff, and basically, um, yeah, this is from his channel. What is the Meteorite Cult? Accounts from antiquity recall statues falling from the sky, pre-carved. These meteorite statues contain DNA of the gods whose form they held.
My
Since
Meteorite Cult
mystery,
theory.
oops, sorry, didn't read that fast enough. Sorry. Since mystery cults have formed around the projection of these meteorites and the DNA.
With my Meteorite Cult theory, to sum it up very quickly, Nimrod was a proto-antichrist, the first king tyrant of the earth, the reason for the mystery cult's existence. His DNA may or may not be preserved to this day through various methods. But Nimrod, Gilgamesh, Osiris, Horus, Orion, Saturn, Zeus, Dionysus, Hiram, these are all essentially the same figure. The craftsman, possessor of knowledge from antediluvian times passed down to him, has in some form passed into the underworld, like the sun reaching its southernmost point in the sky, like Venus or Sirius passing behind or in front of the sun. It stays for 3 days, 3 weeks, a time or so, and then is stupendously raised from the grave, making them lord of the grave, underworld, death. Every peoples on Earth has a form of this myth, some complex, some regionally specific, but almost all of them also retain some kind of relation with the Orion constellation in the sky. At this time of year, Orion is prominent in the sky in the early evening until the early hours after midnight, its most visible time of the year. Orion is almost perfectly opposite the Sun at this time, housed in Ophiuchus and Sagittarius, the gateway to the center of the galaxy, all equally important in symbolic meaning. The ancients had deep knowledge of this astronomy, evident in their remnants and myths still to this day. The celebration of the day of Christmas predated Christ by thousands of years. It is the birth of Nimrod being celebrated, the once and future king, the hero, the hunter, the cultivator, the giant, who climbs the tower in the sky from the place our soul enters this world to the peak of the firmament, only to fall back down again and start over. This is the basis of all world religions, the mystery teachings, the hero's journey. Spy communication. To start, every pagan god or goddess, their temple, their mystery, featured a meteorite, or as they were called in ancient Greece, diopedes, or stone of heaven / the gods. Huh? What? Ancient meteorite gods? You heard me right. But it's not just chunks of space rocks. In most ancient lore and legend, these mystical meteorites were often claimed to have fallen pre-carved in the form of the goddess whose image it bore. Don't believe me? Let's start with Artemis of Ephesus in the Bible then. Acts 19:35. The scene. A city clerk of Ephesus addressing a riotous crowd of temple worshippers the apostles have managed to inflame. Men of Ephesus, who is there who does not know that the city of the Ephesians is temple keeper of the great Artemis and of the sacred stone / her image that fell from the sky? The Temple of Artemis of Ephesus, by the way, was the world's largest ancient wonder, second only to the pyramids in size and popularity. Ephesus was also home to antiquity's largest bank, who were the actual temple clerks. What that suggests is so many people from the ancient world were traveling to the Temple of Artemis in Ephesus to pay tribute to the meteorite that bore her image, that the hoard of international wealth that gathered there actually incubated the world's first international banking cartel. It's funny, banking cartels and the Illuminati are associated with this symbol because the black rock, the black stone, the black cube of Saturn is associated with a meteorite as well. Aside from Artemis in Ephesus, there was the black stone of Cybele / Re, the mountain mother goddess of Pisinos, Phrygia, in modern-day Turkey. This most ancient of worshipped meteorites did not fall pre-carved like others were purported, but the meteoritic stone, weathered black with age, was famously incorporated into megalithic statues of the mother goddess and highly revered in her macabre cult. Most famously, men were forbidden to look upon or partake in her mystery cult, well, intact men anyways. The Gali, male initiates of Cybele, were required to forsake their manhood and place the mark of the Divine Mother upon themselves. In other words, Osiris's missing phallus took on a more literal meaning in this ancient Isis cult. There's reports of the power and influence of Cybele's cult and her sacred stone well documented throughout history, from mentions in Homer to one of the most famous and documented events in ancient Roman history, moving Cybele from Pisinos to Rome, to Constantine's legacy in Constantinople. And since Constantinople had such ties to the growing Arab caliphates down in Mecca, which also had syncretized idols of Cybele reportedly destroyed by Mo and his followers, it's curious that upon Kaaba today rests an alleged meteoritic black stone that millions still worship to this day. Have I got your attention yet? It doesn't stop with Saturn vomiting the Omphalos of Delphi. Ray tricked him into eating instead of Zeus, nor the Ephesian Artemis, nor the Black Stone of Cybele. The meteorite cult crater hole only gets deeper the more you dig, and the list of meteorites worshipped in antiquity only gets longer the more you look. From the Trojan palladium to the stone of Elagabalus to the Benben stone of ancient Egypt and Heliopolis to the Cyprian Aphrodite mentioned in Jason and the Argonauts. There's even a legend of the Taurian Artemis of the Ukrainian Tauric people, another Artemis statue in the aspect of a stag that was lost somewhere along the northern Black Sea, perhaps the subject of a classified archaeological find by Soviet Russia in Sevastopol, Crimea.
Okay. So I'm gonna pause that. I love your little shorts. So that was like two different shorts that I put together from your Instagram page. And do you have any other places that you post other than Instagram, or is that the only spot? That's where I found you at least.
Well, I post on YouTube as well now. I think you
Oh,
can
nice.
find the episodes; those are in on my page. It's just 22
Okay.
episodes of a podcast covering the
I'll
weekly news.
I'll link both in the description so people can follow you on YouTube and on Instagram. But it's so much information packed into like such a short. It's like perfect for our for everybody's um ability to to watch long videos sometimes. So it's nice to see like, less than 5-minute videos that are so informative and just like really well done. So um
Yeah, I wish the algorithm would let it be 5 minutes because trying to fit something in 3 minutes is just. It used to be 90 seconds. I think when these came out, they were 90 seconds.
yeah,
Uh, Trying to fit 90 seconds of our entire human history,
it's hard,
it's just not doable.
right? No, I really enjoy your videos, and I think that just the concept of the meteorite cult, just I never had heard that before. I never heard anybody really talking about that in depth. And there's quite a lot there. Like I'm sure you could probably talk about it for hours, right? Like there's
Yeah, it's strangely ubiquitous, and I think most people are familiar with it. They're just not familiar with it within the context I'm framing. So, like, I'm pretty sure I coined the term meteorite cult. God, this all goes back to a Reddit post. You can also find me on Reddit. It runs r/true conspiracy memes. It's literally a dead sub though. Um, some guy came on one day and he was like, "Hey man, the reason why we're in the Ukraine war is because of this meteorite in Crimea that everybody's fighting over." And I was like, "What the heck are you talking about?" And he was like, "Watch this movie. What's it called? Nether Beast Incorporated. Little indie film with Judd Nelson in it. It's about uh, vampires. If The Office, the show, was everybody was vampires. That's pretty much the show. I mean, the movie. I think what's his name? Taika. He kind of reproduced that later with what's it called? What We Do in the Shadows. But it's very different. It's like 2002. It's got Steve from Blue's Clues, but it's all about vampires who need a meteorite to maintain their immortality, right? Um, Judd Nelson is a vampire hunter. I guess I just spoiled it for everyone. Sorry. It's not a good movie. But once I started picking at this thread, I mean, it's in the Bible, Acts of Apostles, 1935. Pull that up real quick. Let's see. The city clerk of Ephesus, after calming a riotous crowd, reminds them that their city is a guardian of the temple of the great goddess Artemis and of the sacred stone or image that fell from the sky. So it was that one little line there mixed with a Reddit post, a Reddit comment somebody did on one of my memes one day that led me down. I don't know. I think I followed the meteorite cult thread for almost a year. Graham Hancock's research is kind of there, and he hints at it, but him, Brian Murarescu, a lot of the guys you see on Joe Rogan who are talking about ancient civilizations, ancient mythology. I mean, psychedelic drugs, psychedelic cults, the Ephesian, I mean, not the Ephesian, the Eleusinian mysteries, all of the mystery schools. Like, it all comes back to this. And I don't even know where to start sometimes with people. But essentially, the idea is, and there's several goddesses, there's several instances of this incredible sources. I mean, NASA did a full scale research on this 30 years ago in conjunction with Harvard. People are interested in this. Um, Essentially, 3,000, 4,000 years ago, Bronze Age, earlier than Bronze Age, pre carved statues of the gods all from the sky. And from there, it just goes deeper and deeper and deeper. But there is instances of people worshiping meteorites forever, as old as civilization is. It's in Gilgamesh. Gilgamesh has a dream where a meteorite falls from the sky, and he makes love to it like it were a woman. He ejaculates into a meteorite, which is where I tie in the whole DNA starseed of the gods, because that same theme of progeny, meteorites, uh, and gendered sexuality, all of that ties into this as well.
Wow, that's super super interesting. Um, and I was wondering where, because my conspiracy mind goes like, yeah, right, this shit fell from the sky, like, just like, when when I was showing your video and you were like, if you think that this actually, came out of the sky pre-carved, like, what if they were, what if it's from the north, like how they claim that the in the very center of the north there's like that huge black rock, magnetic mountain or whatever. Maybe there's like these are chunks from that mountain or something because they all seem to be the same color, right? Like this black, so are they all
Well,
different colors?
so the black, you mentioned Black Rock right off the bat.
Yeah.
Mecca, the cube in Mecca has embedded in it a stone, right?
Mm,
According to Islam, this stone is, I think Adam found this stone, or it's either that or Muhammad prayed and this stone fell from the sky, right? But if you trace back, like Mecca, and so they worship this little black in the corner. Everybody goes around, they do the circle, right? And they go up and kiss it. This thing's been kissed so much that it's turned black. There were scholars, archaeologists who were visiting Mecca, like Lawrence of Arabia times, like turn of the last century, and they have drawings and etchings of this, but most white Westerners are not actually allowed to examine the actual stone itself. But if you trace back what was going on in Mecca pre-Byzantium, you have a whole bunch of people worshiping, basically, her name's Allat, right? The 360 idols or something, I think it is. It's also in Islam. Muhammad comes in and he destroys all the idols in Mecca, and then they set up the cube, I guess. I don't know. One of those idols is Allat. Allat is the equivalent of Sybil, which is the mountain mother goddess, right? Re in Greek, the mother of Zeus, the mother of the gods, the mountain mother, the great goddess, right? That's what it's one archetype. But if you trace it, okay, so from Mecca, the Black Rock of Sybil, that's what its name truly is, I think. Black Rock of Sybil can be traced back to Constantinople, or Istanbul, Byzantium, right? Constantine, when he did his thing, he gathered up all these artifacts, which it's very interesting to me that like empire world leaders always go for mythical artifacts to like validate their empire or whatever. But he knew about the black stone of Sybil. And he buried it with him in his column, the column of Constantine, in Constantinople. Where it went from there, I mean, I'm speculating that it went down to Mecca, but I don't think it's too much of a speculation because the Ottoman Empire was pretty strong. Um, but so Constantine brought it from Rome, and Rome brought it from Turkey, I think Phrygia. There's this huge, long, it's one of the most well documented things in ancient history. There was this huge, long procession of moving this meteorite, the Black Stone of Sybil, from Phrygia to Rome in order to, like, I don't know, make sacrifices. They needed to restore the Roman kingdom. I think it's like 250, 350 BC. That's probably too early. 200 BC. There's this huge procession from they walk from Turkey all the way to Rome on a chariot carrying this black stone of Sybil in a royal procession, and all the people who the male priests who serve Sybil are the archetype of Attis, which if you look at the mythology of Attis, I think he was so pretty that everybody hated him, and so the gods conspired to kill him, and somehow he ended up castrating himself. And so, but the castration part, it's the first trans people in recorded history are this meteorite cult. Men aren't allowed to serve the Black Stone of Sybil. They're not even allowed to look on her unless they've castrated themselves,
wow.
because I think they don't want any DNA contamination, because meteorites and preserve DNA. And there is so much scientific literature right now published just in the past 5 years confirming that fact that I really think there's a DNA starseed aspect to all of this that I've never heard anybody else do.
Yeah, this is all new to me. Like I've never heard anybody like bring this up, and the you'd think that the trans, people that are into the trans stuff would have done a deep dive on this or something,
They have, they
but
have. No, no, there's tons of Mother Jones articles
okay.
talking strong correlations between the trans culture today and a what they call a crisis in fertility in Rome because there was lead in the water and everybody was getting sterile. This is right
Oh.
around the downfall. In Sybil and her cult in Rome, right before Constantine just nabs that stone and takes it to Turkey, they were a source of what was considered like corruption in Rome, like just overdoing it with the pomp and the ceremony for the gods, because she was right in the center of Rome, the Magna Mater Plaza or whatever, I can't remember. It was right next to like all of the major, one of those major hills in Rome. I mean, the Vatican's not that far away, and that's all purposeful too. Yeah, but they definitely people in the trans LGBT community, they definitely harken back to all these examples in Greece and Rome of androgyny and trans and gay culture. And what they're referring to is like specifically these meteorite cults. Like these are the people who are practicing this. These are the sex priests, the royal, the sacred prostitutes or whatever. Like it's all of these people all mixed in. They are fertility cults, and I think that they're tied into our aristocratic elite, uh, and their incestuous breeding pools as well. Like I think it's about keeping the gods' bloodlines all in the family. Now I don't believe that these things are gods. I just believe that they were superior humans, like 3,000, 4,000 years ago. They were taller than us, you know.
Yeah. You think they were like maybe like giants with like elongated skulls and stuff, or is that something that you're like question?
I mean, giant, right? Is that 200 feet or is that just 30 feet? Because I think there's all sorts of debate there.
Right.
Um, I think it all comes back to Nimrod, personally, in the Bible. That's where I tie all of this back to. And Sybil is just Semiramis, which is Nimrod's wife, which is Isis and Osiris. And basically, I think Nimrod was a real person. He was the first king tyrant of the world. And in everybody's eyes, he probably looked like a god, you know? First leader of the world, the great hunter, that's how he's known as. He's Orion in the sky. I mean, every single culture on Earth has an Orion cult. And it's Nimrod. It's the same thing. The giant Gilgamesh, he's the same person. Osiris is the same person. This is the person that Graham Hancock is talking about when he's talking about the cultivator who sailed around the world to the Americas, taught everybody civilization and yada yada yada. It's all a holdover. I mean, I'm a Bible believer. It's all a holdover from the antediluvian age, and what Nimrod was trying to do was build an antediluvian age again, a new golden age after Atlantis or whatever you know that metaphor emerged, and we lost all that. He retained it. He's the first builder. He's the first mason. He built the tower. There's a lot of stuff surrounding Nimrod.
Yeah, definitely. I've heard a lot of people bring up Nimrod, but as far as like the meteorite cult and like that guy ejaculating into the rock and all of that, like that's
Gilgamesh.
this is all new to me. Like my mind is blown. Like I
It's there, and no, if that one gets even deeper. Okay, we stole the original tablet. The American Army stole the original tablet from Iraq, and it ended up in an auction in Oklahoma at a Hobby Lobby.
what?
And Biden apologized for it like 2 or 3 years ago, right when I started this research. He was like, "Sorry, we stole this." Hillary Clinton. There's a whole 2000 2001 video of Hillary Clinton like unearthing the tomb of Gilgamesh. I mean, it's one of those possibly hoax, early DV hoax videos. But the the fact that we stole the one tablet that actually describes Gilgamesh ejaculating in the meteorite. I mean, what's that about?
Uh,
Why?
yeah, I don't know. I mean, why does NASA make everything look like phallic objects, and why are all these like statues look like phallic? objects everywhere. Like they seem to have an obsession probably with the DNA, like what you were saying. It all links back to your DNA and to you know, I'm sure it ties into um, the people that those companies that push, DNA and me, whatever it's called, like the to find out your
Okay, me and ancestry.
yes, ancestry, yes, thank you. Those things like and how they just accidentally like, now they're going bankrupt and accidentally leaked everybody's information. So, um, I think there's something more to the DNA than what they're leading on for sure.
I for me, like I've spent a long time trying to think about it. Like, what's the point of the Masons? What's the point of all these lies, intelligence, mythology, the mystery schools? Why? Why? I think ultimately it comes down to man's quest for immortality without God, right? A vampirism, which comes back to that movie. A false immortality, a way to stay alive without actually being alive. And I think, like, if you look and dissect, especially the Osiris Isis myth, are you familiar?
A little bit. Like I've listened to people talk about like a few of these things, but I'm not like super well. I couldn't rattle off all the names of everything like what you're doing.
So real quick,
Break it
Osiris is
down real
killed by
quick.
his brother Set, which is the plot of Hamlet in Lion King, right? You already know the Osiris myth.
Yeah.
Um, he Set wanted to rule. Let me make it real simple. So he cut him up into 13 pieces, 14 pieces, depends on what you read. One of which was his penis, right? Okay, so Osiris died, and I personally, what I think when I think of just putting it in a human perspective, not aliens or mythology or superheroes or any of that, I think Semiramis, his wife Isis, wanted to keep being queen, but her husband was dead, and she didn't have an heir. This is the one part I can't understand. So, according to the myth, she has sex with a magical phallus that she attaches to his recombined Frankenstein body, and she's able to get him to ejaculate into her and produce a different race child, who is the king and the reincarnation of Osiris. That's literally the story. Uh,
I
to
thought I
me,
heard
that
the
sounds,
story, but I don't remember that part. It's
that's
crazy.
literally the story, though. Like,
Okay, then I guess I haven't heard the story because
Osiris
I
was
feel like I
known
would
to
have
be
remembered.
dark skinned, but Horus was known to be white skinned. And I think what it really says is that Isis
She,
did a little song and dance so that way she could stay king, and she was like, "Look, this guy's my child." But I think like deeper, if you want to get into it, this
mm,
quest for immortality. I think there's three ways these like if you wanted to live forever and you didn't want to like believe in Jesus Christ or whatever, whatever gets you there, I guess. Then you would have to contrive your own way to do it. And if you were going to contrive your own way to do it, wouldn't you want to just throw all possibilities at it? I mean, you're going to die that if you fail. So you might as well have a couple backup options. So I think in this case, it's like I think this is what the Masons and the cults and the mystery schools are all about. This false immortality. You have a few options. You have bloodline, right? You produce a son. You make sure your or daughter. I think back in the day, all they cared about was son. No, if we're being honest. But you produce a child, a descendant, and they carry on your line. And as long as you can control that bloodline, I mean, I don't know what kind of freaking math they're doing to justify it to themselves. But as long as you can maintain that, then you have this sense of immortality and continuance. And honestly, I think that there is some stuff that goes on in these higher societies where they empty the vessel of the child in order to actually reincarnate some kind of demonic spirit imitating the ancestor that they want to be in there, right? And that's why they name their kids the names that they do. That's one way. The other way is like think like DNA, right? You're still thinking along DNA. Well, if you know they have found on stones from whatever Stone Age of cavemen's DNA preserved on the stone itself. It embedded itself in the stone. It makes me think of the Bible verse where it, Jesus is saying like the stones themselves will cry out. You know what I mean? Like somehow rocks and stones have the ability to preserve our DNA and life on them. And if you like, I don't know, like think cryogenics, like up in space, quote, 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 it's supposed to be cold. It's definitely cold up in the air. Like maybe you just like launch a big rock into some kind of like false orbit. I don't know. I've never been able to figure out that one. And then the third option I think there is some kind of spiritual immortality. Like I was saying, empty the vessel and let something else in. I think all of these are crocks of shit that only get people into trouble and evil. But I do think that people genuinely believe that these are ways to seek a elongation of their lifespan. And I do think mysteries teach it. Did I lose you?
No, sorry, I'm here. I'm just listening. I'm like, wow. Yeah, there's a lot. It's a lot to take in with
Well, I think
the
that's the why, though.
yeah.
And if you read Masonic texts, like Dune, I love Dune so much. They spent 10,000 years of a priesthood or nunnery, whatever you want to call it, coven, preserving and matchmaking certain bloodlines, so that way they can produce a psychic psychedelic messiah. That's literally the plot of Dune, and Frank Herbert was a 33rd degree Mason.
Of course he was. Of course.
I love Dune, anyways. Okay,
No, it's
I
great.
love
I
Wheel of
mean,
Time too, and Robert Jordan was a 33rd degree Mason.
oh wow, that's another one of my favorites that I've recently got hooked on for sure. Um, it's, I mean, it all goes back to, they have to, I think they have to tell us through media and through their movies and stuff like the truth and then try to make it seem like it's just, oh, it's just a movie. It's not real. And like really they're passing rocks around, ejaculating into them and doing weird rituals like it's
Why would they write that in that? Isn't it supposed to be the world's first literature? Like, why would you write that? It's in the first passage. Like, and then he dreamed a rock fell from the sky, and it's supposed to be a metaphor for Enki or whatever, or Enkidu, whatever. Cool. The beast man. Um, and instead he just they're just like yes, and then he made love to it like it were a fine woman. Like, but if you think about it, like going back to the Artemis thing, Artemis, there's not many that fell from the sky pre-carved. Some of them are just actually raw. But Athena, the Palace Athena, so that's an interesting one. I can actually show
Do you
you
want me
that
to
one.
screen share?
Yeah, I'm gonna try.
Okay, let me grab your.
Oh, I got it. I got it. Don't worry. Oh, I see. I see.
I think I have to stop screen sharing on mine and then open
Just really
yours.
want this girl's image up on the screen because it just you look at it long enough and you start thinking this from the sky. What?
Are you? Oh wait, I don't think you're screen
No, I'm
sharing.
getting there. I'm getting there. You
Oh,
keep
okay.
talking. I can
Oh,
do banter.
okay. Sorry, I wasn't sure if you were showing it and
What,
then
what do
like.
you think? I mean, tell me your thoughts because I've been talking.
Yeah,
Here we go.
no, and I mean that like for me, I'm learning. I'm over here taking notes. Like I never did like huge deep dives on any of this stuff. So, um,
No, because I have a way of not being able to communicate things.
no, you're doing a really good job of telling a story without sounding like you're like reading a script or reading something off of a page, which I find really interesting. And even the stuff that you're reading when you do your videos is it's very interesting. It makes me want to look more into it, like what is the real purpose of these rocks that they're claiming came from the heavens, and where did the rocks really actually come from, and what are they made of, and you know, just I have so many questions. So this
So
is
do you have my
yeah,
statue?
yeah, I can see her. Yep. Oh, the snake
Okay.
by the feet. Isn't there some symbology with the snake
Oh no,
being
this is all the mythology. The shield behind her is made from the skin of the giant Pallas that she killed.
wow.
Shit, Athena's a badass. Don't mess with her. She must have been some woman back in the day. Well, no, Athena's Isis. That is the actual equivalent. So the snake is Isis. That's what you can obviously tell. This little sphinx with boobs, cherubim thing. I think that's just harkening to the fact that back she comes from Egyptian stuff. Her spear. So this is War Athena, right? And so this one, it is the founder of Troy, but I can't remember his name. the moment. What I can't remember the thing. But anyways, the founder of Troy, he's like wandering through Turkey one day up in is or near the strait there, and he's all like the Bosphorus Strait, and he's all like, "Oh gods, please tell me, send me a sign where I should build this great city Troy that I'm going to name after my son Troas." And boom, this lady falls from the sky. Now she's reported as wooden, right? She just straight falls from the sky, landing like that. And he's like, "Oh, we're gonna build Troy here." They do, and the myth is, the legend is, as long as the Pallas Athena remains in Troy, Troy will stand. Well, then you have the Iliad and the Trojan War, and what happens? Odysseus gets his ass in there, infiltrates the town. I don't know if you've seen the movie, but they're hurling babies off of the rafter. They're raping the women. It's crazy. And then they like run up into the temple, steal the statue, leave, and Troy falls. That is the story. And then the Odyssey is actually about him getting the statue back to Athens, and that is when Athens becomes the new center of civilization because they have the famous meteorite Trojan statue. And that is the basis of our Western civilization. Is this statue you're looking at right here. In fact, there's a copy of it in Nashville right now, and it's the largest version of this statue in the world.
Wow, that's interesting. This chick to me looks pretty manly, like in the face. Not to like be all transvestigating the statue,
Well,
but
she came out of Zeus's head. So I don't know what that is supposed to symbolize.
well, and you've seen, so the one thing that I didn't know about until maybe like a year ago was the old statues of Aphrodite with her like lifting her dress up and there's like a wiener under there. Have you seen that?
Yeah. Oh, you're talking about Aphrodite.
Yeah.
Hold on.
Oh wait, it wasn't
Aphrodite.
Aphrodite, it was Aphroditus. Sorry. I thought
It is a male. It is a hermaphrodite form of Aphrodite. Talking about this one.
okay,
Yeah.
so maybe I
So
misunderstood. I thought it was
he whatever is the son of Aphrodite and Hermes, right? It's the divine androgyny. This is literally Baphomet, is what you're looking at. That's
yeah,
Baphomet in
got it.
its true form. Um,
And these
again,
are
comes back to Meteorite Cult because wait, I got you. Cyprian Aphrodite. This is a fun one. So, do you know how Aphrodite was considered to have been born?
no, I don't.
I need the fatalistic, please. Fatalist is the word you want to look up on Google, by the way, for a lot of
What is
these.
it?
Fatalist.
Daedalus, like with a D?
Eaetylus. Some Latin, Greek Latin.
Oh,
Fatalist, fatalist. I don't know.
that's interesting. There was a
Oh
like
wait,
a
why did? Oh, it's still an Aphroditus. My bad. Hold
no worries. There was
on.
a really good drum and bass DJ named Daedalus.
Oh
I
really?
think it's the
Well, he
same thing.
probably was a mason or something.
Right. Of course, all the he's
No, I mean,
a traveling man.
you'll see people recognize and they mention this stuff. So this is the Cyprian Aphrodite. This is an actual meteorite that fell. It's housed in the Museum of Cyprus right now. And this was worshipped for 3,000, 4,000 years. It
Wow.
was supposed to be the essence of Aphrodite fallen from the sky. And Aphrodite is born from Saturn or Kronos cutting off the testicles of his father, which gets into a Noah thing we could discuss later. But Uranus, and when his testicles fell into the Mediterranean Sea, Aphrodite arose from the sea foam, and I think this is actually what they meant was this rock fell from the sky, and this is Aphrodite. This is her.
Wow. Yeah, I see that
I shit you
sacred black
not.
rock.
Like, yeah, this shit's so weird. It's everywhere too. Name a god, name a Greek god right now, a Roman god. Do it.
Um, gosh, I don't even know. I guess Aphrodite was the first one that came to mind, so I'm bad with names. Like, don't ask me names. You think, tell me which one. I don't know.
No, you can't even think of any.
Um,
I don't want to influence
Isis?
the
I don't know.
who.
That's like probably Isis. Isn't that a Greek god,
Oh, that's
goddess?
Egyptian. Yeah. This
Oh,
Egyptian
you
one.
see, I fuck it all up. I
So Isis
don't.
was the Athena. You've got
Oh, so
Artemis. This
Athena
is,
would be the Greek version of Isis? Because I know they're all
yeah.
interconnected. Like they're just the names.
So the
I'm
Greeks stole a lot from the Egyptians. They worshipped the Egyptians. They thought they were the smartest people on earth when they were alive.
got it.
But Egyptian civilization was 2,000 years old when the Greeks came along, maybe 3,000, and they were just like
I guess
they
that is
lost
if
it
you
all. It was all
if you
gone.
if you believe like the history, like the order of history though, right? Like could that have been lied about? Like I don't know, just throwing that
You
out
know,
there.
like yeah, I've read up on all the alternate history. I just stick with the Bible. Like I think we're in the year right around year 6,000. I'm a young earther, I guess. Um, it makes it easier. I don't need a million years. You can't even conceptualize 200 years. You can't. It's no human can. You don't live that long enough. How can you conceptualize something you never experienced?
Yeah,
Like at all. You have no tangent. It's like trying to understand a new dimension. You can sit there and draw it out. You can theorize. You can come up with mathematical formulas, but you're not going to experience it until you experience it.
right.
Um, I I just don't believe in the time scale that they give us. Like they say we have to be billions of years old, and it's like, well, you can't even tell me what really happened 2,000 years ago with certainty. So
Well, yeah, and isn't it like in some of the like the limestone and the different like rocks, like the stuff that they say is like younger is like lower down in the rock formations of like certain things. So like even what they say like contradicts itself in the mainstream from what I've seen and heard about. I mean, I'm no expert on this stuff, but I'm sorry, I didn't mean to distract you from you were like mid-sentence and I started talking about history
okay,
stuff and it totally
I'm
changed
not
it.
even paying attention. I just roll off the dome here.
I think you were talking about like ISIS be you asked me like to name somebody and I
Oh,
couldn't
I
think
can
of
just
it.
name a few. So there's
Okay.
Artemis, right? That's Wonder Woman.
Yeah.
Diana. I mean,
Okay.
Wonder Woman's name is Diana. That's the most famous one. I can hold on. Everybody should know this one. This is the world's first bank happened at this temple, and I find that a very interesting fact. Oh yeah, that's good looking. Look at that. This is a copy of a copy, but this one right here on the left is supposed to be what the original one looked like with that long towering thing. You can tell it like resembles that other rock before, so it's very likely that they weren't pre-carved.
Hmm.
But they probably did have a form. Oh yeah, like the all the bees, right? Napoleon had the bees. The Freemasons love the bees. Why? Because Artemis in the meteorite statue. Look, this is the Ephesian coin right here. It features a bee because she was the mother bee. Did you know Pharaoh means beekeeper?
No, I didn't know that. That's
Yeah, lots
interesting.
of bee stuff. Hard to really figure out,
Queen
especially
bee.
since the Freemasons won't tell me that their little beehive. They love that shit.
Oh wow.
They want us all to be their worker bees. See? Industry! Industry!
Wow.
That is what moves the planet. Is this etching from one of their it's from first degree zoomed in, so you can't really tell. What this says is you are basically going to be a part of a hive mind
Right.
where the Masonic symbol trumps the Bible. It's in front of it, it's on top of it, it's over it. It
Oh
comes
wow.
first. John, because they worshipped John the Baptist and because they stole his head from Jerusalem as Templars, and they put a little candle in his mouth and he talks and tells them secrets. That's the myth, anyway. Yes, I mean the Freemasons come into this several times. The Mormons come into it a lot. This is what they're hiding. This is one of their secrets. Look, you see how the beehive looks just like that meteorite of Cyprian Aphrodite?
Oh yeah.
Oh my god, I gotta take Betelgeuse every time. Look at that. Look at that. It looks like a little bit like a beehive. Wait, look, wait for it. Wait, no, I don't want that. Look at that, look at that. His head there. On his head. It looks like a little
Oh
beehive
that
Betelgeuse as well, huh?
yeah, that does look really similar.
And Pharaoh, who the first Pharaoh was Osiris or Nimrod, the first king, the first tyrant, was called the Beekeeper. That was his title. He was the first one to hold that title. Well, it's stuff like that. That's why
You
I
know,
got into the Meteorite Cult.
when bees, like, there's more and more stuff coming out about how, like, I actually have wanted to do this for a while, build like a beehive, under my bed, like, so that it goes, so the exit is on the, because my room is on an exterior wall, so they could have like a entrance and exit and like entry point. Like, I'd have to, you know, put it in the side of the house and do some heavy construction to install it, but basically, if the humming or the vibration that the bees give off is like very healing and like
Mm.
apparently can like cure cancers and all kinds of stuff. So I was like, dang, that'd be dope to have my own honey and then have the beehive be like under the bed while we sleep, like a whole new way of grounding, basically, where you're just like,
Wait, you
like
want to sleep with bees? Is that what you're telling me right now?
I want to what?
You want to sleep with bees? Like you just want them crawling all over you?
No, no, it's under the bed. Like the beehive would be boxed in underneath the bed. So
Oh,
like
I see.
the
You're just feeling the
vibration,
buzz.
so that you'd feel and like hear maybe like a light, faint vibration from the buzzing of the bees, but it would be all enclosed, and then their exit would be out the side of the house. So you would, like when you want to go get like open up the side of the house, basically put some hinges on like a little door where you could access the honey and access the hive, but have the actual box be like under your bed or under like there was one girl I saw that did it on a like in a window at her house and had the beehive, like would lay in this window and like read and stuff, and above her was like the beehive, so and it was all clear glass, so she could see what they were doing and see like the little tunnels and stuff that they were doing, and it was just like a really cool, she said that's like her favorite spot in the house. It's like a very zen place for her and whatever. And then now there's more stuff coming out about how bees, how the vibrations that they give off is like very healing, and so it makes sense that that was her favorite spot. And I just took that to the, thinking, oh, why couldn't you put that like under your bed instead of having it like above your head, having it like where you sit on it basically and you're like feeling or like lay on it, and then you could like feel the vibrations or the buzzing or whatever. Um, I don't know. I'm a weird hippie and I've wanted to have bees for a long time. So
You're
anyway.
crunchy for sure, but that's what I like about it.
Anyways, I didn't mean to distract you from the
You're not distracting me
Osiris.
with the conversation.
Okay.
You talk. I've been talking a lot.
No, I know. I want you to talk though. I don't want this to be about me. I want to hear, this is your, specialty. I'm like, a total noob, even though I've heard stories here and there, like I I know some of the symbolism and some things that stick out to me, but as far as, this is very interesting. The amount of work and hours that you've put in to memorizing all of this is really incredible. Like it's next level for sure. So yeah, continue. So this is Osiris and the you were going somewhere with it and I distracted you with the
I
bees.
don't
Oh,
even
so
know.
the bees do he was the first beehive guy, and then or is he a
No, I was
girl?
just going off on a tangent because I realized looking at it how much the beta list looks like a beehive. I never noticed that before. That's the
Right.
thing about Meteorite Cult. Every time I come back to it, there's just something new. I mean, I got into stargazing. I learned all my astronomy, almost all of my constellations. There's something going on here, and I got theories. I think one of the things about the Eleusinian mysteries was see that movie, The Green Knight, Gawain,
I haven't.
Bane.
I actually, it's on my list of movies that I don't remember who told me. Maybe it was you. Somebody told me I should watch it, and I put it down, wrote it down on my list, but I
I
haven't
love
actually watched it.
A24, or what? That one wasn't Robert Eggers, but I really like Robert Eggers films. A24 though. Oh, it was a good indie movie about the old Arthurian legend. But in the movie, there is a camera obscura. And do you know what a camera obscura is?
No.
Okay, so basically, it's like a pinhole hologram that doesn't need a lens. So
Oh,
like in a
I saw.
dark room, you shine a pinhole on a wall and it leaves a photo.
Yes.
Essentially what happened.
I saw a guy do that actually just recently on Instagram with like a nature like thing, like w watching the sun
Yeah,
and
you
like a
can get
nature.
the outside like landscape onto your wall. It's kind of cool.
No, it's really
Uh,
cool. I want to try
but
that.
I bring up that movie because it's a good image to like see because they're in medieval times, like I don't know, 300, 400 to 700, 800, whatever Arthurian legend was. And I think what the director's showing you is this girl who's a witch in the movie. She had knowledge of how to make a hologram projector on the wall. You know, that's the kind of knowledge that these people had back in the day. They weren't just all fucking rude barbarians making sacrifices and worshiping plants or whatever. There's a sophisticated system to antiquity, and I think in a lot of ways they were way smarter than us.
For
I
sure.
mean, we're dumb.
Yeah, I agree.
Um, but so I think a lot of the mystery schools. So like the Temple of Eleusis, right? It's on a little island in the Mediterranean. What below Thessalonica, whatever. I'm just saying shit out my ass, I guess. Essentially, it was this place where the temple you go. So if you want to join the mysteries back in antiquity, you don't have to become a mason. Anybody could do it. I'm sure there was some money involved, like you had to pay tribute, but I think it was more akin to like people visiting the Vatican at Easter. A lot of people could do it. Um, you would go, and obviously this wouldn't be like the same treatment the elites get. It would be like getting your first apprentice mason degree as opposed to like maybe your master mason degree. Like there's a level of intimacy as you go deeper in. And I think so what you would do is that the traveler would come to the temple. You would probably ingest drugs. I mean, ergot. That's another part of it. Is ergot mold, they believe came from space as well. There's a long or space or whatever, from something else, from a meteorite, and that's why. And it landed in Eleusis, and it infected their fungus on a meteorite landed in Eleusis, infected their wheat crop, their rye crop, and that's what caused them to create LSD in the day.
Really?
Now they had very specific ways of preparing it, and that was the real secretive part. Only the priestesses knew how to make the LSD made from the ergot. Um, and if anybody else tried, you'd die. You'd be poisoned. Pretty bad. So essentially, you take your little potion concoction. They're probably selling like hot dogs or beer at a baseball game, and you go and you walk this little maze of the temple, and I'm sure it was probably intimate, a little setting for your trip. And you walk in, and by surprise, you like look to your right, and well, there's two different versions, right? The Artemis version is you walk in through this underground labyrinth, I think underwater too. You had to pass through the waters in like a form of baptism. And you walk through and you look, and she's like on your right, like right there, and you don't see her. And then it's a statue, probably the meteorite statue, and it's like, and it's supposed to like, oh my god, I've just seen a vision of her. The other version in Eleusis, I think that I worked out was camera obscura effect. You walk through at a certain time when the star Sirius is aligned in the sky, because Sirius has a 365-day cycle that you can rely on. It was what the Egyptians set their calendar to. It's called the Sothic cycle. Well, I guess Sothic is star, but essentially, you would align your temple and the pinhole in your temple the specific star at a specific time, and anybody who was in the temple would see a little hologram of the goddess, Eleusis or Persephone or whoever, Demeter. It's the same archetype in all of them. And you have a little. Probably what would happen is you see this wavering, shimmery hologram, very ethereal, on the wall in front of you. You're tripping balls, and the priestesses or the priests are either enacting a ritual, they're singing, they're humming, or they're pretending to speak for her. They're like, "You have seen blah blah blah. I am the god. Bow down." I don't know, something to put you into a shock state, because that's how rituals and shit works. Like if you're put into a shock state while you're already tripping, like it's only going to take it further. And I think that that's the people would have a psychedelic experience in the mysteries, and I think in the Masons they still have psychedelic. They have acacia bush symbolism everywhere. They know what DMT is. I mean, I had a weird hippie guy come up to me one time and tell me that if you cut your tongue underneath your tongue and you run your tongue back up into your nasal cavity, take some training, you can just get a free access DMT trip in your brain all the time, and you can be a little yogi, like tripping balls all the time. They say that that causes yoga immortality, which again comes back to this idea of immortality. I think it's all connected.
Wow.
I think maybe like what another option for the meteorite is like you see the meteorite, maybe the meteorite has some dust on it that causes you to trip balls. I mean, I just said there's fungus that travel down on the meteorite. You've got phosphate that can be found in meteorite. There's the whole phosphate thread to all of this too. It just goes and goes.
That's super interesting. Yeah, had never heard any of this before. This is, I mean, I'm sure other people maybe that are more educated on this stuff, maybe this is, you know,
Like people know, like okay, I feel like there's a certain subsection of people who are initiates into whatever secret club you and I aren't privy to, who have access to records that describe this stuff. You have to go looking for it. You're not going to join the Freemasons and they're like, and we're a meteorite cult and we worship meteorites and that's the secret. That's
right?
not going to happen. But I think if you put some of this stuff together, I mean, have you seen? I keep mentioning Graham Hancock just because Graham Hancock was, I think, one of the first people who triggered this search in me. Um, but have you ever seen his Joe Rogan
No,
episodes with Randall Carlson?
no, I haven't.
I used to check them out. They're probably the best Joe Rogan episodes that are out there. It's good content. But Randall Carlson he's an open Freemason, and he has a whole speech in one of the Joe Rogan episodes he's in with Graham Hancock about how the Freemasons have this. You know, they're always talking about their meteorite thing, the Younger Dryas uh, epoch or whatever it's called. This idea that there was a cataclysm. What Atlantis really was 10,000 years ago or 11,000 years ago. There was a cataclysm that a meteorite, a big old fucking meteorite named Enki, came down into us or like broke off. A meteorite broke off from it and fucking caused a cataclysmic ice age. Basically, that's their theory, and that ice age is the bridge in the gap between antediluvian and post-diluvian world. Right? It's a very scientific, materialist way to approach it. But Randall Carlson does say in that episode that what the Freemasons really have is access to a body of work, a body of knowledge that and teachings and symbols that the public doesn't have access to, but that the Freemasons within the Freemasons 90 he says I believe 99% of them don't even know what they're sitting on. It's a pyramid scheme first and foremost. I mean, my aunt was a political advisor for Californians, and she would tell people all the time, "Go join the Lions Club. You got to join a men's club, a boys club, a social club, because it makes you look good in your community, and you meet the right people who donate to your campaign." It can be as simple as that, but there is that 1% within these societies that are really into some hinky fucking shit.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely, I have a couple friends who always like to say like, oh, the Masons, they're just like, they just get together and drink beers at the lodge and like, yeah, I'm sure, but that doesn't mean that there isn't like the 2% of like high elite retards that are pulling weird strings and like I'm sure if somebody down the line if somebody was told to do something that they would do it because it's for their, wouldn't ask questions and, I guess that's where my problem comes in with joining clubs like that. I do appreciate that they do stuff for the for communities and I understand if you're trying to go to college or whatever. Isn't that like what
Let's
you were
think of the
saying?
Shriners Hospital for a minute here. You got to be a 33rd degree Freemason to become a Shriner. And people go on and on about 33rd degree. You only need 3 degrees in Freemason for it to fucking matter. The rest is just a pyramid scheme, pay to play game. You think you're buying religious knowledge, but you're not really getting anything. The 33rd mystery, I mean, I'm sure there's so much debate over this, but it seems to me to be the consensus. It's one of those fucking con games where they're like, and the magic was inside of you all along. Like, no, but it's not about the degrees. It's not about climbing to the degrees. It's not about any of that. It's about the access to the people and the access to the knowledge that the people are fucking gatekeeping. They got it on all of their symbolism. Here we go. Masonic carpet, come here. No, not a literal carpet. Ugh, Freemason's
Uh,
word.
yeah, with a
They used to do them
checkerboard.
on carpets. They used to do them on chalk on the floor, these diagrams, right?
Yeah.
And so that way they could erase them and people wouldn't know their secrets. And you would be given ciphers to what the symbols mean during your initiations. This one's the second degree. This one's the first degree, the three pillars, just to get you introduced. And
I
then the
just
third degree is this fucking one in the middle with the fucking coffin, because you get raised from a coffin like you're fucking Osiris. It's what it is. I mean, it's not a mystery.
I just
And
saw
in that moment, you're resurrected. You're reborn into the Masonic, the whore of Babylon. That's literally what you're being reborn into. Um,
wow. Yeah, I just saw this video the other day of somebody, I never saw this before, of like the royals, like when they walk, they only walk on the black squares. Have you seen that? That was new to me. I haven't seen anybody point that out, but
that
it was
sounds so annoying.
like I know, I'm like watching them walk and I'm like, wow, they really are only stepping on the black squares. Like I've never but in all of the royal, everything, they all got the checkerboard, floors and, anyways, sorry, carry on.
No, no. All I was trying to, I guess, just was that, like, I think a lot of these like secret societies, like if you go out and join, like, say you have no soul and you don't care, and you know that, like, I mean, I truly don't know what the Freemasons are. I'm not a Freemason. There's a lot of implication. I definitely think they're a cult of Osiris. They would deny that up and down, but what? There's a great Bible verse. What communion does the followers of Jesus in Christ have with the followers of Belial, who is Baal, who is Osiris? None. Don't join Freemasonry if you're a Christian believer. That's it's in the Bible, basically. Um, but essentially, like, these guys are masters at double speak. They are so great at lying. Never even noticed. You see how the compass around those frames are oriented differently? The one, Osiris means west, right? Would
No,
be
but
the
that's
setting
interesting.
sun,
Okay.
the god of the setting sun, the underworld. The Egyptians believed, and I think the Freemasons believe this too. The Egyptians believe that you die every day, that when you go to sleep, you're dead. I don't think they believe that. I think they were creating an allegory for there's two realms, the underworld and our world. And the underworld is your dream realm. Are you a dreamer, perchance? Do you have
I
dreams?
do. I do. I have really vivid dreams sometimes,
Yeah.
actually. They're
Yeah.
pretty
So when
trippy.
there's two types of dreams, there's dreams where you're just glancing in the spirit realm, and then there's dreams that are like actually God given, inspired, right? But
Hmm.
a lot of the times when you're having a vivid dream, well, it depends on who you are. I'd have to get real personal real quick. But it sounds like you are a dreamer. I mean, you have a lot of
Yeah.
personality hallmarks, I think, that are of psychic dreamers. You're essentially going to the other realm for a little bit, and you can take peeks around and you can see things because the way the Freemasons worship geometry. It's because geometry is interdimensional. You have a way of making a map uh, in a dimension you can't understand, the spirit realm, right? Because the spirit realm is all like it's like all over the place. It doesn't it's non-Euclidean geometry. But if you have an understanding of how things in our realm reflect and echo things that are in the spirit realm, the dream realm, the upper realm, whatever you want to call it, they're tied together, right? You are both body and spirit. Your mind is the gate, those two pillars. Oh, whoops, those two pillars right here. That's your mind. Right here before it, you are physical, you are primal, you are not initiated. But with the Freemasons' initiation and ritual, you will pass into this land of enlightenment through your mind. Why? Because they give you fucking drugs and you trip balls. I think they hit like pressure points on you or something. They don't actually let people do drugs. There's something that causes you to just like go into a shock state. You get a quick dose of DMT going past your filtration systems, and all of a sudden you have a waking hallucination. I really truly believe that's what's happening. Um,
Makes sense.
I mean, they all talk about it. Oh, you can read about it all you want, but you'll never experience it unless you go through the ritual itself. And it's like, well, why? What's happening? Something inner, something spiritual. Um, I don't know. I don't think the Masons are as clever as they make themselves out to be, but I do think that they are working with like a rigged system. Like we don't have access to all the knowledge that they do. And so it's like you trying to play chess with an AI robot. Like it knows every chess move, and you just like playing chess.
Right. That makes sense.
But anyways, I got off track. But I was saying the mind before that though.
The two pillars that they initiate you to be able to go into the dream world, basically.
Yeah, I'm
Um,
basically making all. Oh yeah, the dream world.
mhm.
Um, the dream world, like the Egyptians basically, I think more than anything, were masters of getting into that dream world, exploring it, and looking around. And so a lot of the symbolism that you see in Egyptian, I don't know, art and Egyptian mythology and stuff, I think they're describing that realm, and I think that they thought it was a very real place that anybody could go. Did you know the Egyptians loved tripping balls? It was blue lotus flower or something.
Oh,
It was a lily that grew in the Nile, and they would just do this all the time, and they go up and see Orion in the sky and surf the Milky Way in their astral projection. This is all real. Nobody talks about it.
yeah. No, there's I don't know if you've heard of that Amon guy. I forget his last name. Amon Hillman, maybe. He talks a lot about like in Greek, back in Greece and stuff, where the ancient Greeks used to take drugs and, had antidotes for it and had, like snake venom for, I forget. It's like a whole, like, and I think something was blue. Like there was something, one of the things was blue. Their whole mouth would be blue, is like some, maybe it's something that has to do with the Blue
Methylene
Lotus.
blue.
Right? The
Did you
Blue
fall for that
Lodge.
trend?
No, hell no. I don't.
Okay, so like just so everybody knows, disclosure, a couple things. One, the CIA bought up the like entire supply of methylene blue in the 60s from what were they called? Needham, Peace Needham or something. There's a pharmaceutical company in Pennsylvania. I don't think they're around anymore. Um, Lockham Needham, I think. I don't know. Uh, they bought up the whole methylene blue supply because methylene blue can actually be used to as an antidote to cyanide, which
Oh,
is why the CIA was supposedly interested in it. But there's something else in methylene blue though. I don't know. There's that health trend right now. People are like methylene blue, bro. It's a
yeah.
nootropic. Can make me
Anything that's
smarter.
trending, I'm like, nope, not trusting it. Like the
There's
ivermectin shit, I'm
methylene.
like, yeah, it's owned by Merck and it has like 33 side effects. One of them is
Yeah.
like bleeding from your eyes and your rectum and all this crazy stuff. I'm like,
Guess
yeah,
what, everybody?
I'm
If
good.
God needed you to take pills in order to be a better human, then Adam and Eve wouldn't have eaten the fruit. They would have eaten the pill bottle of Eden.
Right? Yeah, no, I'm a firm believer that like your body heals itself, like if you allow it the space to heal itself, like dry fasting, raw milk fasting, stuff like that, I think is the key to healing all of the things, in my opinion. I don't think that we would be designed in a way where we would need to rely on man to help keep us alive. Like that sounds retarded.
There's about 5 million keyboard warriors who would disagree with him.
Right? It's cool.
I need supplements in order to max. I gotta max. I gotta min max, bro.
Yeah, no,
Live
it's
life.
so I totally took you off topic again. You were talking about the dream world and how they would trip. They would give you things like maybe like
Oh
a
no,
blue
what I was
lotus.
looking at was I got myself off topic, not you. Because I never noticed the orientation of I've never seen these. Where is it here? Never seen these all lined next to each other. So you have west facing down in this way towards the east, the rising sun, right? There's the rising sun, the blazing star. Let's get into that for a minute because that'll bring us back in here. I think this one's a good one. This right here. This is the sun. This is the moon. What is this fucker? You can see. I don't know if you can see. You can't see.
Yeah, I can see it. I can't
Not like
really.
great. Let's see. Who's the better one? Well, this one illustrates the point, anyways. This is the blazing star of Freemasonry. Now, honestly, the blazing star of Freemasonry, they say is a comet. The comet is a meteorite. It's the same fucking thing. So it is interesting that one of the like central points of Freemasonry, central symbols. This fucking star in the middle of everything, you know it. The pentagram, you love it. It makes you, whenever you see it, you got to point it out on Instagram. You got to look the five-pointed star. I don't even know what it means. You know, you're familiar with Ken Wheeler, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think he perfectly pointed out what the uh, pentagram means. Yeah, there you go. See, half me already knows. That's what the pentagram means. This is a whole damn thing here, you know, with the Fibonacci sequence. Basically, a triangle that is derived from a perfect pentagram. Here we go. That's a better one. Can be infinitely replicated upon itself using the same dimensions, right? In a macro, micro, verse scale. As above, so below. It's the Fibonacci sequence, this interval of 108 to, well, I can't even remember what they are.
36,
You've seen that
72.
video.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, wait, it's not. Oh, yeah. Okay. I mean, this here, I have a meme. It's going to take me a minute to find. But essentially, this is what the Freemasons are concealing. This is what they're all about. Is this idea that like the spiritual realm reflects the physical realm, and if you can influence one, you can influence the other, right? And so we have all the pyramids, we have all of the Stonehenge, we have all of these things that align to constellations. They align to astrological movements. And why? It's because I think they're trying to imbue power into those areas with that energy. But there's also natural uh, formations on Earth that align with the stars. Serpent Mound in Ohio was just worked on. It wasn't constructed. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
They found a landscape that matched what they were trying to create, and they worked on that landscape in Serpent Mound in order to shape it to better to the stars and the rising sun
Are
there.
you sure it's
That's
not like
all.
a buried giant snake or a giant's buried? Because that's what I
Oh, I
just
think
saw
it's a
today.
giant. Oh man, let's talk about that.
Okay,
Oh,
let's
let's
go.
talk. Let's talk. Why don't you hit me with all the stuff? Because like Meteorite Cult definitely flies in the face of a lot of flat earthers, a lot of Rotarians, a lot of giant Nephilim people. I don't believe in the Nephilim as people know it. Uh, Nephilim in the Jewish translation just means men of great renown. I think Nimrod, he was a really tall dude. He was a really big dude, and they lived for hundreds of years. That's what I think they mean by men of great renown and giants. Like, we're puny compared to them.
Right. I don't
You
think it
think that's
was.
a giant snake? Is that what you're saying?
Well, that's what somebody had like said, oh, maybe it's just a giant snake that got like buried. And then I saw just the other day somebody did a video talking about other mounds that were that had giants buried underneath them, and that's what the mounds were like. So not necessarily this mound specifically, it was like some other mounds, but this is actually
Right by him?
what? I'm like only I think like 4 hours from here from from the Serpent Mound. I should go check it out. I know it's like on my bucket list to go
You
do that.
should.
I know I want to for sure. But so what do you so you were saying that that you think that they made the mountain though, right?
I
Like
got
they
a
built it
friend. I think that the landscape was here, how it was. And somebody saw something tripping some peyote or whatever, and probably mushrooms up there.
and just added to it
Um,
kind of.
and they were like, "This is what we need to do." And the spirit of the drug was like, "Yes, do this." I mean, there's entities in these drugs. There's entities that you can commune with. There's entities up in the stars. Like, I'm convinced that the stars hold intelligence in them. There's something in there. Um, I'm not a flat earther. I'm actually a concave earther. I think we're on the inside, and
Oh,
looking up
that's
at the stars
interesting.
is the center.
I didn't know that
Uh,
about you. That's very interesting.
well, I
Have
was
you
always a Hollow Earther. I wrote a Hollow Earth novel right when all this journey began, and I've since come to think that maybe we're on the inside of a dome or sphere that curves around in on itself. I only say
word?
that because I watched a YouTube video where a guy made it make a lot of sense, and damn, he made it make a lot of sense.
Yeah, I mean with the celestial sphere makes more sense in a concave model, but then we would have to be measuring curvature upwards. And I've never like ruled out the idea of like hollow Earth. Like I don't see why it couldn't be, flat and hollow or whatever shape it is, have like hollow parts and massive underground layers and you know, um I guess what was it, the Vedics, how they believed it was kind of like pancakes, like layers, with different levels
Pan-
that,
Pancake Earth.
pancake earth. I don't know.
Flapjack, stack Earth. That's it.
I mean, I entertain all this stuff. I think it's all fascinating and um but I didn't know you were a concaver. That's very interesting.
I
Have you
wasn't until recently. I talked to a Freemason guy for a while about flat Earth, and he told me it was a matter of perspective. If you are approaching the Earth from outside the realm of Earth's dimension, it looks round. Once you're like within its dimension, it's flat. I don't think it really matters. I tell people all the time, I think Earth is infinite. You wouldn't know the difference. Just like I said, you can't picture past like 100 years, really conceptualize what that means. You're gonna tell me you know what 8,000 miles means? You've really flown around the Earth? You've seen it? I don't think there's
right,
many of us out here on Instagram who've actually been around the Earth.
right. Yeah.
Um, and if you think about it, like 8 billion people, I don't believe that number either, but like 8 billion subjective experiences of life. That's enough beliefs to basically be infinite. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, what's the difference between 8 billion, 8,000 in in our puny minds? It's like, dude, I go to the store, I go to work. I mean, most of my life's within a 30-mile radius. And that's how most of man's scale is, aside from modern inventions.
Right.
Somebody told me one time in what they were telling me, a war podcast, but I was in a war podcast one time, and they were talking about how in Europe, all of the towns are separated by a distance of what you could walk in a day. Whereas in America, all of the towns are separated by what you could take a train in a day. Or, well, the train stations. It has to do with when the civilizations were like paced out, right? I mean, I've been saying it sounds a little silly, but it the whole European idea of like you can walk to the next village, it just takes a day's walk. But yes, that's the scale of humans. That's the scale we work on is where can you walk in a day. The rest is just like fluff, thinking you're bigger than you are, thinking you have a higher perspective than you do. And so I really don't take seriously any measurements people tell me, any amount of people tell me. I mean, God punished David for taking a census. Like I think there's something to that. We're not
Oh,
supposed to
really?
know.
I didn't know
Yeah,
that.
I think it's like First Kings. I know it's not the adultery punishment, but I think he got sick or there was a plague. Like he brought some wrath upon Israel there. Because he wasn't supposed to take a census. God said, don't take a census. Don't count up everybody. Don't number my people. They're numberless. It's infinite. You know,
That's
that's what I think. That's it. So this as above, as below, measuring it all out. I think it just always comes down to a matter of perspective and what's useful and relevant at the time. So if it's flat Earth, I mean, flat Earth works for measurements. It does. Believe the flat Earth scientists. Like you don't need a round Earth model to navigate. Isn't
yeah.
that crazy? Now with the celestial sphere, that's why I think concave Earth started to win me over. Oh, you were saying we would have to measure upward scale, right?
Well,
No.
I mean,
What this guy says is, that point, that pause, the atmospheric pause that all the rockets hit, and y'all are like, it's going into water.
mhm,
You know what I'm talking about?
the firmament.
Yeah, yeah, the firmament. Well, I was thinking of the scientific name, but yeah, the firmament.
Hmm.
So sphere or whatever.
Oh, the
It's like
Karman
60
line, maybe?
miles or 60 kilometers up. This guy's saying that there's a glass sphere in the sky. Glass sphere in the sky. And the curvature of it is only 60 miles above us or so. So no, you wouldn't be the Earth's curvature upward because it's obscured by a glass sky. That's what he says.
Yeah. Well,
Which
it reminds me of Antarctica, the people that just went there, apparent supposedly, and how when I called and asked if why they couldn't fly drones at the South Pole, but you were allowed to fly drones at where they were at their camp at Union Glacier, but they weren't allowed to fly drones at the South Pole, which I think is strange. And I asked why, and she couldn't tell me why. She just said that's just the rules or whatever.
That's
Um,
just the rules.
yeah, and the drones that they flew were super low. Like they were like at your height, like maybe no taller than 6 foot that they were flying the drones, which to me is weird. Like were they told like don't go
Is
up
this
a
the
certain
December Flatter Sky Goes to Antarctica thing?
yeah, this was a TFE like douchebaggery retardedness. Um, but it made me think like, huh, if the further south you go, you're not allowed to fly drones. Are they worried that someone's gonna fly a drone into like the dome? You know, like I don't know. And then there's also, I think it was like maybe with some of Bird's journals or somebody that was talking about some chunks of blue ice that had like, come down that was maybe part of the firmament. Like, I don't know if that was just a rumor or a part of the actual book or whatever from his stuff, but you know, oh shit, we're going into concave. Check
Oh,
it
I just
out.
wanted a visual image.
No, no,
It's
that's
way
cool.
better to see because that's exactly what I'm thinking of. That's what I use for my book too. I love
Yeah.
that shit. Yeah,
Yeah.
this is the stuff that got me all back into conspiracy. I had spent years just not even bothering, and then COVID, and then
Yeah. I guess that what gets me is that so then you'd have to be measuring curvature upwards and like so is that like an actual physical like sphere in the middle there? Like would you like
according
so
to the guy who told me the story, he says there's a glass sphere and that meteors are like breaking through that glass sphere. Now,
okay.
he did have an interesting point, which is there is this thing. Oh, I don't have the name for it, unfortunately, but basically, random glass sometimes falls from the sky and nobody knows how to explain it. And random ice, like on a
Yeah,
clear
that's that
day.
blue ice. That's that blue ice that I was just talking about. That's what I've seen like pictures of it. I don't know if it's real or not, but yeah, sorry, carry on.
Oh no, hold on, let me deal with this phone call real quick. Sorry.
Very good. So yeah, super interesting. Um I've never been a concaver. But I entertain is I think there's like a the first concave um museum is in Florida, I think. I'm not sure. But I think I remember somebody telling me about some concave museum in Florida somewhere. So yeah, I think he's taken a
I gotta go there. I gotta take my kid.
nice.
I
So
don't know how my man. He's
so
got
I
me as a dog.
so I cut you off. You're talking about blue ice, something falling out.
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
that
yeah.
was it in
That was one of
Antarctica?
those.
Because that's what I saw pictures of. Somebody saying that there was like part of the firmament came down in like Antarctica or somewhere on the south, and yeah, I don't know. Is that what you're talking
Yeah, I
about?
really can't remember the scientific name for it. It's like atmospheric glass or something. And this guy was saying that's the concave Earth breaking off and falling down. Uh, it's who knows? Again, I always say it's like, what does it matter? It's fun to entertain, especially. And I do think what Flat Earth served as like, because let's be real, Flat Earth is completely infiltrated by counterintelligence at this point. It is a 11-year-old conspiracy theory. Well, I mean, it's way older than that. But I
Yeah.
remember the YouTube videos coming out about 11 years ago, 2014 or so. That's really when it took off. And since then, I think it is one of the most infiltrated. I mean, I honestly think Flat Earth's a little dead these days. I'm probably going to piss off everybody listening.
No, it
Uh,
did. It died, and then this TFE I feel like has revived it. Like there's a lot of old heads that have kind of started coming back around, just mainly to talk shit on the controllers that are trying to pass this stuff off as real. And anyways, yeah. But it
but
did.
you can actually You can actually track though when flat Earth imploded. Do you have a guess as to when flat Earth just imploded? It was recent.
I would say 2015, 16 was like the
Oh, no,
most
no, no, no.
traction.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I guess a little unclear. Flat
Oh.
Earth was trending for the past like 5 years, like pretty
Oh,
big. Social
really?
media, TikTok. You don't think so?
Okay. I haven't looked it
Yeah,
up. I
look
don't
the
know.
flat Earth influencers who are making bank off of selling T-shirts that are like, "I believe in flat Earth." Cool. Why you're also like money laundering for somebody apparently. That whole T-shirt
That's my
racket,
theory.
man.
That's my theory about the FE core people that like are donating large sums to each other back and forth on YouTube. That it's like a giant money laundering scheme for sure.
No, okay. Let's talk about counterintelligence and social media because hey, everybody, I'm a multifaceted person and I can talk about Meteorite Cult all day, but I actually have lots to say about AI and counterintelligence as well. Um, Counterintelligence on social media. So like a big part, several MK Ultra sub projects were about the study of money laundering. Believe it or not, they wanted to really tack down the CIA. Really wanted to figure out how you make a cover corporation legally, so that way you can dissolve yourself of all responsibility. Um, and so everybody knows at least one account I'm sure of on Instagram, TikTok, Reddit, YouTube. That person advertising merch. They got $25, $35 t-shirts for your favorite echo chamber brand.
Hey,
Right?
wait, hold on 2 seconds. I got a quick question. Was I supposed to change the window to be able to see this, what you're sharing? I just clicked on this
Oh,
window
what is
cut.
it on?
I don't know, it was on this one, which I think was like the YouTube page. So I think this
Oh well,
whole
but lots
time,
of people miss stuff. It's fine.
I'm so sorry.
I
It's
don't
awful.
care.
I totally forgot that I had to
Apologize
like,
to your viewers.
sorry viewers, all the
Oh, and
visuals
if
that you've been
y'all
showing. Shit. Oh well,
for
anyways,
the
carry on.
for the
They can look
dulcet
this
tones
stuff.
of my
Yeah, they
baritone
can
voice
look.
here.
You explained what it was that you were like pulling up anyways, so whatever. Shit, my bad.
Kind of a little bit, but it's all right. It doesn't matter.
Sorry.
Go out and look for yourself, people. Please research. Like, I can't be the only person holding all of this in my head all the time. Really can't. I'm about to explode. Like, I live a normal life too, believe it or not. Like, I have a wife, I have a kid. We like go to restaurants. Like, it's
Word. Well, I'm sorry. I did. So you were talking about like counterintelligence, and I totally threw you off
no.
because.
So counterintelligence, though, I think that to me, it's pretty evident if you look at the profiles that have like pushed the merch for their whatever echo chamber they're pimping the
Hmm.
most and have the most success with it. I think that's sheer money laundering. That's a way of the system propping up somebody invisibly. That way they can keep making it. Okay, the one person who comes to my mind is Cancel Ian Carroll because sorry, I think the guy's counterintelligence.
I don't even know who that is, but I'm sure it's true.
He's a guy on Twitter and TikTok and Instagram and YouTube who makes videos about conspiracy theories and people really love him. He was just talking to Candace Owens or something. Pimps RFK Jr. You might start to
Oh,
understand why I think he's counterintelligence as I
oh,
say that.
for sure. Yeah.
Um,
You don't get on platforms like that unless you are counterintelligence.
he didn't start that way. He started out as somebody who seemed more like us, like you're just trying to find research. Yeah. But he's got pretty faith and he knows how to do the talking head thing on TikTok, and that's a whole skill set in and of itself.
Yeah.
But he started out, I believe his company or his channel was called Cancel This Clothing Company. He started out as a clothing company who sold conspiracy brand T-shirts and hats and stuff. And I'm saying, I think like Haktua, right, with her little crypto coin rug pull. I think there are ways that the powers that be, I like to call them the CIA because I think they really do run a lot. They make stars on our social media platforms in an invisible nature through things like those clothing companies. Because you can just somebody can just order 100 t-shirts for $35. Now you have $3,500. That's pretty much untraceable, and you don't really technically have to fulfill that inventory because I'm convinced these t-shirt companies are like exploiting some kind of small business entrepreneur loophole. There's all sorts of stuff like that out there where if you're right in the know, you know your legal paperwork and you know business talk. I mean, there's ways around things. I'm convinced when you become a Freemason, like they just hand you like a little gift card that's like, hey, every time you type in this code on Amazon, you get that shit for free.
Probably.
It
Um,
feels like the game is rigged. You look at intelligence. I have a friend who is fond of CIA, and his life is fixed. I tell you, he got on Bitcoin 2010 when he was like 13 years old. How do you know about that, buddy? You know, these people have, well, and that's actually a story. You're from Phoenix. Oh,
yeah.
sorry if I just dumped you.
Oh, everybody
Um,
already knows I'm from Phoenix from being
there's a
doxxed like
certain
8 years ago, so it's all
there's
good.
a certain horchata company in Phoenix, Arizona that is actually just a front for the CIA.
Of course it is. That makes total
They
sense.
sell they sell
Isn't
Mexican flavored drinks. That's I don't know what a Mexican flavor is, but
No, I know it. So, and also, isn't there the 33 degree runs through, I want to say it's Phoenix or somewhere south. Maybe it's like between Phoenix and Tucson. But that there's like that weird pyramid, like some Rockefellers, I think, built some like weird pyramid thing that people go to that's like on the border between California and Arizona, and it's like on the 33rd degree, and like there's all these like,
yeah,
you
33rd
know,
degree north, Phoenix, Arizona. There you go.
yep. Um, Let me play this last little part of your video so you can
Sure.
just so I can show a little bit more like it's you're not all just Meteorite Cult, but I know I could listen to you go on about for Cult for like hours because I find it really interesting. But you're not a one-trick pony, so here's some more stuff here.
You got
Um,
the YouTube open.
yeah, I clicked the thing I
NASA, though,
now
was the modern messenger of Project Bluebeam. It should be noted that this idea of alien invasion slash Judgment Day scenario faked by the government goes back way further than Surgeon asked. He was cribbing from an earlier author, William Guy Carr, who was very influential on a lot of modern people,
Still there?
which his
yeah.
ideas can
Can you
ultimately be
hear it?
traced back to
No.
Jesuits and Masons.
Yeah, I don't need to.
Oh.
I can't see it either, so I don't really know what you're referencing.
Oh, okay. Hold on 1 second. Let me rewind it a little bit and um
You just gotta share, reshare in the Discord.
oh, I got it because I didn't do screen share for you, so
I know, there's too many
they're seeing
layers.
they're
We
seeing
spent
it.
an hour trying to set this up.
Okay, share my screen. Here we go. I'm gonna get this eventually. Here we go. I'm a noob.
Oh, there it is. I can stop mine.
Okay, so you can see it now.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Okay,
Um,
work.
Make lots of memes.
NASA, though, was the modern messenger of Project Bluebeam. It should be noted that this idea of alien invasion slash Judgment Day scenario faked by the government goes back way further than Surgeon asked. He was cribbing from an earlier author, William Guy Carr, who was very influential on a lot of modern people, which his ideas can ultimately be traced back to Jesuits and Masons writing 150 years ago about world wars and protocols of the Elder of Zion. Serge Manasse, though, was a Quebecois Canadian, one of those old guard conspiracy theorists like Art Bell. He published a handful of obscure esoteric books before finally in 1994 publishing Project Bluebeam NASA, where he lays out that NASA and the United Nations have a plan to implement a New Age religion with the Antichrist at the head of the New World Order via a technologically simulated second coming of Christ. Starting to sound familiar? Shortly after publishing this book and another on Freemasons, Serge Manasse died in 1996 of a heart attack in his home at 51. Also sound familiar? Maybe Nusa Cheer. Who was president in 1996? All of this might sound familiar, as Serge's plotline is the exact plotline of the missing episode of Star Trek The God Thing. Gene Roddenberry, who I've always kind of suspected to be in the club, was notorious for rejecting religion, to say the least, and wrote this esoteric episode to do away with the discussion once and for all. An alien from another dimension masquerades as Jesus, leading Shatner and co. to realize that all religions on Earth came from this alien source, not a true creator god. The episode was never made for obvious reasons. Serge Manasse, though, was the mineral in the world. Uranium, copper,
Nope.
gold.
So I don't know if you wanted to touch on on that or because this next one
Project
doesn't.
Bluebeam?
What happened?
What do you want to talk about Project Bluebeam?
Well, just because that's something that a lot of people that are into flat Earth and stuff, are into Bluebeam and are into that kind of stuff. So I didn't know if you wanted to.
Oh no, no, yeah, no. So my opinion, the Project Bluebeam I just laid out for you in that little short there
Hmm.
is the psyop. You actually came in. I remember how we met. It was Maui. That was the first time we had a touchstone. Was
Hmm.
the Maui fires, and that was actually when I really started formulating my ideas about AI and Project Bluebeam and what it really meant. And I kid you not, I don't know if you've been paying attention. Everything I was talking about and predicted came true. Like it is wild. I foresaw what AI was going to do, and it is scary. I don't like that I was right. But essentially, Project Bluebeam, I think, is just like, have you ever read? Nobody's ever read the graphic novel version of Watchmen. Have you?
No.
Okay, it is nothing like the movie. It is way better. Alan Moore is definitely an occultist. But essentially, uh, I think Project Bluebeam is the idea of like the original theory of Project Bluebeam. This idea that there's going to be a great illusion in the sky with holograms, and God's going to talk to you and basically say, join the Freemasons because that's the only way to move forward into the New Jerusalem, I want, or whatever. Some bullshit to usher us into the New World Order. But I think the fact that everybody knows that plan, like, how on earth could that actually be the real plan? Nobody would fall for it. There would be enough people who would be like, no, this is the Project Bluebeam that's over 150 years old, this plan. Um, I think instead, AI is Project Bluebeam. This idea that your world can be completely manipulated and catered specifically to you. And we're not there yet, but we're pretty damn close. So it's this idea of if you were to open up, let's just say Instagram on your iPhone, you would not generate Instagram, the app. You would generate Instagram, the app catered specifically to you. And every post you would see would be a bot generated thing specifically catered to you. All of your chats would be with an AI bot. You would think you were talking to real people. I don't know. I mean, I'm revising this as I'm speaking out loud. I don't know if it'll go that far anymore. I
I
think,
think it already has gone that far. I think
yeah,
there's.
it has in a sense, right? The way I imagined it was nobody was going to believe their reality anymore. And that AI was just going to be this perfect illusion machine. And the reason why I mentioned Maui is because what turned me on to all of this is I knew the blue roof laser beam story was fake. I knew it
Yeah.
was fake. I just had this gut feeling in me that it was fake. And I spent some time trying to decode it, but I don't think I had all the knowledge I did as I do now. But essentially what I was trying to explain to people with that was Project Bluebeam is the press running fake AI generated news stories and testing them among certain audiences to predict reactions. And I think that the conspiracy group got infiltrated by CIA. They posted a bunch of fake paint your blue roof, paint your roof blue so that way the government doesn't send laser beams down on you, which would cost $5 billion per shot. It goes to $500 to create an AI campaign like that. I'm describing.
Right.
And
Well,
I
not to
think that,
mention. Oh, sorry. Go
oh
ahead.
no, what? No, you go ahead.
I was just gonna say, not to mention the if you look up the images from like where they said those blue umbrellas were, they were beige umbrellas before that, and the blue roof, like the blue awning that was there, burnt to a crisp. So,
Yeah.
yeah,
Photoshop, CGI, that's basically the entire point of AI. That's the entire point of NASA. NASA is the largest federal spending of AI, largest AI usage in the federal government. Uh, Biggest flat earther, that guy is all over the place these days. I don't believe this fucking like Elvis is Trump bullshit. But I think one of the smartest videos I ever watched of him is he was describing how SpaceX and Starlink are actually just hologram projectors. And I think that that's the most brilliant thing I've ever heard. If you watch any of those stupid fucking SpaceX launches, they all look like AI.
yeah, they do 100%. And I put the
Brilliant.
yeah, I put that shit through the AI, the through the whatever AI software, and it came up as fake. Most of it came up fake. Some of it came up as real, but then when you scroll through the different images or whatever, and um like all these weird like shapes come up behind it that aren't natural, that wouldn't naturally be there. I don't know if you've seen it. I'll have to send you the video later so you can see it, but for sure the parachutes came up as all bright red, manipulated, not real. So yeah.
No, and but I think they've had this technology for quite a bit. But I think Maui in specifically October 7th, 2023, the Israel Gaza bullshit. There was a lot of people forget there was so much AI generated video
Yeah.
for the initial Gaza attack. I'm not talking about anything that's come since. I'm saying October 7th, 2023 was 100% scripted, 100% planned. Nothing about it was natural, and it was a media campaign to fool you into a new reality. That's what's happening.
Yeah,
America will eventually become the most anti-Israel country on earth. Mark my words. That
for
is
sure.
where we are.
Yeah.
You get it. See, you were somebody you commented the other day on one of my memes to somebody about how like no, all the anti-Israel stuff is the psyop. Like it's hard for people to divorce themselves from observing the psyop and then stepping back to observe the observation of the psyop. I know I
Yeah.
sound ridiculous right now, but
No,
like
it does. Like with East Palestine, I was like I'm right here, like 17 miles away, and I had to like calm myself down. Just because it was in my backyard doesn't mean it couldn't be a psyop as well, you know? And that's when I wanted to like prove to myself, like, okay, is this real or is this not? Like this is what we all need to be doing. Like it doesn't matter, even though I was being called, like a shill for the railroad or whatever because I was saying it was a psyop and everybody wanted
all
to
right.
to push
I was
around this
told I
like
was covering up dues in Maui. I was like, what the fuck? You think the government's spending $5 billion to do a laser beam down on its own people when there's tons of cheaper options that are easier and more available?
yeah,
And
dude,
I'm doing it.
the smart meters. Now all of a sudden, since the California stuff happened
Oh yeah,
and
that was it.
that smart meter building, like that
But
person's
we were
house.
saying that you and I were both saying that 2 years before California. We were like, it's the smart meter.
I know. And everybody said I was crazy, and they're like, no way, there's no way they wouldn't be able to. I'm like, dude, that's the igniter and the fuel. They got the gas and the electric on smart meters since 2021. You can't tell me that that's not a possibility, and then the whole
RFO with a
rest.
big picture of that.
Yeah, the whole rest of Maui had their power turned off except for Lahaina. Like there's actual lawsuits against the Lahaina Power Company or whatever that whoever I don't remember the name of the
Didn't that
company.
guy? I
What's up?
think there's so many people who were connected to Maui who were connected to Epstein and friends
Oh,
that
for
it's
sure.
like when you really look at it, Maui was just a setup. I think they all connected back to the Las Vegas shooting too, which is not a conspiracy I've ever really dug too
Yeah.
deep in.
Yeah, no, the same, I think it was the same like sheriff or somebody that was in charge of the stuff in Maui was also in charge of the same stuff and during the Vegas thing. And like yeah, I don't know, the fact that like they actually have lawsuits going against the power company for all of the power being shut off everywhere else, but they never should shut the power off in Lahaina. Like, I think they just surged the shit. Like, they turned everybody else off, surged where, like you heard the first, what's it called? The first lady that had a recording of that I saw of Maui was saying that the fire was coming up from underground. And you can see like, I don't want to make this all about Maui now, but go back and watch my Maui theatrics video where you see like the screenshot of the of the Maui theatrics truck coming in and the crisis actors and just it's so ridiculous. Like not to say that there wasn't fires and there wasn't crazy shit going on, but it was all planned. It was all
That, but that's how this stuff works, and that's what
yeah.
people need to understand about counterintelligence. It's not that there was no fires; it's that
Yes.
the narrative about the fires and the perception about the fires is what was the target to be manipulated. They
Yeah.
wanted the story that was going out to be so obscured that nobody can do anything about it. I mean,
Yeah,
there's
they
so many
want you to
problems.
scare. They want you to be scared because you can't stop space lasers, but you could stop smart meters. Like you could go, no, I'm not going to have a smart meter in my home.
Yeah.
Like, and that's just it. Is opting out of the smart meters to me, like then you don't then you can't have your smart cities if you don't have smart meters controlling everything, and then they're able to like shut off your water, shut off your power, do whatever if you're not doing what they want you to do. They're just like shut your shit off, you know? Like, I mean, not that they couldn't probably already do that now with the analog stuff, but like it'll be a lot harder. And it seems, you know, all of the evidence that I saw with the manhole covers being burnt around the bottom, like did they have a laser down there in the utility access points too? You know, like and where's like the lasers like are supposed to be dragging like, across like wouldn't you
Yeah, you see
see
them leave
like
a mark.
yeah, you'd think you'd see like marks from one car to another to another. There was one car where like the trunk was completely blown out. Like something was clearly planted, in my opinion, in the trunk and parked in the middle of this field. Like I think I looked at the aerial footage from like a month earlier or whatever, and there was no cars in that field. So that car was planted there, and the front of the car wasn't burned, but the back was burned. They were like, "Look, there's a cat in here," and the cat's like fur it like reminded me of like the passports, magically like, withstood being burned. Like the cat hair magically wasn't burned, but everything else was like melted and like totally blown out in the back end, but the front end's like totally fine, it's just crazy. But yeah. Let me keep playing this the next video so we can
In the phosphate control theory, which real quick precursor.
yeah,
Um, Phosphate is one of the most critical minerals on Earth. It is how we stay fed, and it is one of the 6 minerals that goes into biochemistry. Right, your protein, all the proteins in your body are built off of the backbone of phosphate. Um, Phosphate is the part that houses the psychedelic compounds in mushrooms and fungus. What else? Morocco controls 80% of the world's phosphate reserves. So if you haven't done a deep dive on Morocco, literally Israel bows down to Morocco. You can find videos of Netanyahu apologizing to a Muslim king. Okay, like consider the geopolitical implications of that.
word.
Bibi is apologizing to a Muslim king. This is not how geopolitics in Israel works if they really run the world. Okay? Like,
Right?
I don't doubt that Israel has their shit, don't get me wrong, but Morocco runs the world. None of us, no, and phosphates and bombs, right?
Hmm.
Um, so explosives and all of that can't have war without phosphate. You've seen Casablanca, right?
Parts of it.
That's Morocco. Morocco and Casablanca were the Allied soldiers' like pretty much main base in World War II, and the CIA just never left. That's one of their biggest intelligence communities is in Morocco.
Wow,
Uh,
that's
yeah,
interesting.
and then just for the fun of it, almost every single phosphate reserve is found in a meteorite crater.
Of course it is.
Yeah, and the Western Sahara is the most meteorite cratered place on Earth.
Oh, wow. That's
Yeah,
interesting.
and that's why I don't. You probably most people don't know about the geopolitics between Western Sahara and Morocco. Morocco is Western friendly. They're a Western friendly Muslim nation. Like I said, the CIA has been there forever. Um, Western Sahara is a not recognized state. They're probably equivalent to Kosovo, to be honestly. Like some people are out there being like, "Oh, they formed their own alliance, so maybe they should be recognized because we love an underdog." But they're not actually a real recognized UN state. But they are a coalition of Muslims who are against Western rule, and all of this ties back to the Algerian War, really. But essentially, my friend Parker, who is Terrapin Quest on Instagram, Terrapin Quest 2 now, he does all these deep dives on Morocco and phosphate, and essentially, like, the CIA has fully recognized, Israel has fully recognized all of these countries that are very important right now: Ukraine, Russia, China, Iran. All of them have Syria have all fully recognized the importance of the phosphate trade coming out of Morocco. All of them fight to maintain good relations with Morocco. And so recognizing Western Sahara is not in the interest of any of the globalists. And so you have tons of CIA declassified documents on their website that talk about how the wealth of Western Sahara will be maintained under Moroccan control. This is one of the most important geopolitical debates of our life is phosphate in Morocco, and nobody knows about it.
Wow. Yeah, that's really interesting. I had no idea. So that's why
Yeah, it's hard.
when I saw this clip from you, I was like, "Oh wow, this is," and that's why I like your stuff so much because like one day you'll be talking about one thing and the next day it'll be something totally different, but usually it somehow ends up like connecting to each other. Like pretty much all the conspiracies all like interconnect with each other when you really like step back and look at the big picture, you know?
So
Um,
if I believe in a concave Earth, ergo, one could believe that I believe in holism. We live in a holistic, contained universe, and one that's a lot smaller than what we're told. So to me, it's all related. None of this is disconnected. The only people who see it disconnected are experts who are the world's biggest idiots, and people who that's how they view the world is it's all distinct and separate. That's materialism, atheism. Um, it's all connected in my opinion. And
yeah.
every time I find one thing, it just leads to another thing, and you can never learn enough. And damn, if I don't have like 40 tabs of Wikipedia open at any given time, because it's all out there. That's
Yeah.
why I used to sign off like keep seeking truth. There's like truth out there if you look for it. Like you look hard enough, you can find this stuff. It's just like it doesn't make any sense until you start to zoom out and also believe it's all connected.
Right. Word. Well, I'll keep playing this and then you can talk more after about it, but here's
Copper?
this.
Gold? What if I told you it was phosphorus? Phosphorus is the 15th element in the periodic table. It's highly reactive, commonly used in explosives, so it's never found as a free element. Instead, it's found in the Earth's crust, primarily as phosphate, an oxygen phosphorus salt. That means you mine it to harvest it. Stick with me. Phosphate is everywhere. It's the essence of life, one of the 6 major elements in organic chemistry. It makes up the backbone of all DNA everywhere. More relevant to us, though, phosphate is the most in-demand chemical in the most important industry on Earth: food. Phosphate fertilizer is used in every single agricultural industry worldwide. Without phosphorus in the soil, you don't get food to grow. It is the backbone of DNA, after all. And after 150, almost 200 years of industrial agriculture and supplementing the soil with phosphorus, the natural supply in the topsoil is in short supply, especially since glyphosate, a compound categorized as an organophosphorus, further strips the soil of nutrients. That leaves the international community beholden to the nations that are able to supply the demand globally. Essentially, whoever owns the phosphate has the ability to control who eats and who starves. You might be surprised to learn where in North America phosphate reserves are heavily located and who has their interests in those mines, but surprisingly for Americans, here's one vital resource we don't actually possess an abundance of. Maybe Trump's interest in Canada and Greenland might start to make more sense. After all, phosphorus isn't only useful in the food industry. So, who owns the most phosphorus? Who is potentially positioned to be the most powerful country in the world here? Believe it or not, Morocco. Morocco currently sits on top of 70% of the known global reserves of phosphate, and they know it. In fact, controlling interest of phosphorus in Western Sahara and Algeria was one of their few non-negotiable demands in the aftermath of the Algerian War. Couple that fun tidbit with the fact that Casablanca in Morocco has been a hotspot for the intelligence community from the CIA's inception, and well, you start to see an interesting narrative unfold. If you don't believe me that Morocco silently controls the world, not even Israel will dare offend the phosphorescent throne. But Morocco doesn't control all of the phosphorus, and wars fought over this substance weren't limited to the Algerian War. Our current Ukraine-Russia kerfuffle has largely been over phosphate control and who's going to feed continental Europe and Africa in the years to come. Even Syria has its role to play with phosphorus, with the UK and others smuggling phosphate out of Syria through ghost ships, ships that turn off all their navs and tracking systems until after they've conducted their business. The US, Russia, UK, all sides of this are guilty. And who knows what else is on these under-the-radar cruise liners. Even the name phosphorus has its connotations, fashioned after the Greek word for light bearer or Lucifer, derived from the name Horus, named as such for its uncanny glowing nature. Between Russians smuggling fertilizer to their publicly acclaimed enemies, to being used to induce magnetic mind control, to being found attached to DNA on auspiciously named meteorites,
Meteorite
phosphate
Cult.
and the fight for control of it has more significance in the years to come than most might realize. Be sure to check out my good friend Terrapin Quest for extensive research into this topic.
Special
What do you
spirit things.
Nope. Sorry.
I know that one. Shows like first real.
I love it
I don't
so
like
much.
that guy at all. The Gnostic. Ugh. He's
I
all
know.
like, was like, if you just tickle your own penis a couple of times, you might meet God, who is actually the devil, because you've been lied to about everything. Buy my $50 illustrated book.
I had to
No
put
thanks,
those
man.
I had to put a couple funny ones in there to show that it's not all serious with you. Like you have like a sense of humor and do funny reels too.
Oh, I
So
used to do. I had a stand-up bit, believe it or not, when I was living in Denver,
nice. That's awesome. I want to
and
hear.
oh no, God, it was about don't ever like do benzos and then plan a trip with your ex-girlfriend because it's not a good time. Not a good time.
Word. Yeah, duly noted. So
Hawaii's cool though, so the real roller coaster over there. That island has so much volcanic energy. You can feel it. Like if you're somebody who's really psychic or like attuned to magnetic energy, like go hop over on one of those islands. And I've never had as much of an emotional roller coaster as that week in Hawaii. Whew,
really,
good,
yeah,
good
I've never
time.
been. I have a couple friends that live there, and they've been telling me to come visit, but I haven't actually gone. I don't know, something that makes me like I get nervous like being surrounded with water like that and not being
Oh yeah, I get
I don't know.
that.
And now
I
even
know.
like flying nowadays, I'm like, maybe I'll take a boat. And I'm like, I don't
Are you
know if
talking
I
about
want
all
to
the
take a
plane
boat.
crashes? Well, that's all. I want you to
So,
focus on that because what they're burying the lead eventually here will be is that China has been hacking our aircraft infrastructure for some time, and that's why we've had all these plane helicopter crashes, and that's why we need to do yada 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 against China. Yada. They've been laying this narrative for a little bit. I
yeah.
really think that that's where they're headed with it. Is that we have too much AI cyber war going. I don't think people realize we're in the middle of a cyber war, and it's epic right now. Like if you know anything about what's going on with all these hackings, like holy crap, the
No, I have
CIA
no
is taking
idea.
over.
What's been happening with the
Um,
wait, hold on. First, did you want to say anything else about the phosphate, or
Oh,
are we done with
Phosphate,
that?
I am not the guy to talk
We
about it and
covered
do
it.
it
Okay.
justice.
All right.
Please
So,
go check out Terrapin Quest 2. The name's up there with a 2 after it. And
yeah.
that guy knows so much. He's one of my best friends, Parker. Like, one of the
Oh,
few people who can listen to me and understand me. Uh, there,
awesome.
there's so few.
Awesome. Well, yeah, so I didn't mean to interrupt you though. So, so there's a cyber war going on or
Yeah,
hacking.
well, so eventually you got to look at the where we want to get to. Where do you see the world in 5 years?
I don't know.
Oh,
Hopefully,
come on, give me a
ho
prediction.
I mean, like, would hope that it's not to the point yet, because 5 years, that's, because I mean, I guess they moved their 2030 agenda to 2035, so maybe we'll
Did they? Did they
still be
though?
good. I don't, that's what they said apparently, didn't they? Or did they? Oh no,
I
what is
think
it?
that's to throw you off. I think
Oh,
2030 is looking pretty good.
or did they make it shorter to 2025 is going to be the, I don't know.
No, I
The,
think we might actually see some shit explode though this year. I'm not a person who likes to make predictions because I don't want people confusing me as a prophet. I am not one of those. I do think though 2025 is a big year. I saw maybe I can't remember. I was under the influence of something one time watching Rick and Morty one night, and I saw a secret code. It's in the episode where they go to the sun and all the people cut off their penises, which is definitely tying into my meteorite cult. But there's a hidden message in there where it was basically suggesting that America will. Oh no, 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 that's what it is. Holy War comes on July 4th. It was either 2025 or 2026. But essentially, like, expect something to pop off, I'd say, between then on a global, like, tension scale. But so getting back to the cyber war, I don't think war is what people think it is anymore. It's
yeah,
not rockets and artillery and destruction. It is very targeted. I think what you're seeing Trump do with all the tariffs and stuff, this is what AI guided warfare looks like. And I said that 2 months before major publications said that no, in fact, he is using AI guiding these tariffs. I think what it is they're plugging into a computer and they're saying, hey, how can we achieve these results without these side effects in this amount of time? And the computer tells them, you know? And I think the short, rapid bursts, I don't know if you follow the stock market at all, but it has been one of the wildest rides since inauguration. I've never seen the stock market behave this way. Really.
Yeah, I don't pay
Um,
attention to that. So it's has it been just up and down and all
yeah,
crazy or what?
yeah. Like Trump announces a tariff. The world's ending. Trump reneges on that tariff 24 hours ago. Oh my gosh, it's the highest gain since World War II. It's wild. Um, my stock opinions are just ride the market if you got them. Don't ride the dip or ride the trend or whatever. Just buy low, sell high. That's all you gotta do. It's a bank account. That's how people should look at stuff. It's a bank account that accrues interest more than a bank actually would. So there's some risk involved, yeah, but for the most part, the stock market always resolves itself. It always has, because the people who need the money have the money in there. Why would it fail? Why would it fail completely? It fails so that way the peasants get shifted around, but the banks get loaned out. They get bailed out. All of Epstein's clients get bailed out. You look at it. I'm only in the B's of Epstein's black book right now, and I've already come across people from Enron to the Lieber Bank scandal that are connected in manufacturing the entire 2000s financial crises. All of them. Like they are the people. This is the same people. It's the Meteorite Cult. It's MK Ultra. It's CIA. It's, you want to say it's the Jews? I don't think it's a lot of Jews. It's really, I see a lot of German, Nordic, Anglo-Saxon motherfuckers. And did I ever tell you I worked Bohemian Grove adjacent? I did
You
not work
did.
for the
You did.
Bohemian Club. I just worked for the people who belong to the Bohemian Club.
You did tell
Um,
me, I think briefly, but I don't remember like details of it. But
yeah, I'm
uh
sparse on the details because I don't like people to figure out who I am. But essentially, I met a lot of people who in San Francisco. I lived in San Francisco and worked in San Francisco for a time. I worked for a charity. But I didn't realize that this charity was being used by the Illuminati to launder money. The minute I did, because I found out there was actually like a children boxing scandal involved. Adults were betting on children boxing one another illegally, without any kind of boxing commission or rights. In fact, their parents weren't even allowed to be there because it was in a private club. And once I saw that, I was like, I don't want my name ever associated with this shit. So I left. But if people are thinking I'm foul play, I'm not. I have a weird Forrest Gump way of wandering into conspiracy theories. I don't know how it happens. There's just something in me. I could go on for days about weird anecdotes like that. But I worked at the Bohemian Club. I mean, the richest people I met, which I did meet one billionaire, and this man, this man is. They must have taken Batman from this man because his mom and dad were basically a Bonnie and Clyde ripoff. The dad got so guilty about stealing all those banks that he had his wife kill himself, this guy's parents, and she went to jail. And so he was 7 years old, and he told me his life story. He was being raised by the dock mafia in San Francisco, and then he goes on to join Wall Street, and he's the inheritor of some giant steel industrialist in the turn of the century in Chicago. Like I literally met Batman, and that guy was funny. I actually liked him because he wasn't like the rest. He didn't need class. He had so much money he didn't need class. That's the only way I know how to describe it. Like he'd show up in gym shorts and he'd be like, "Yeah, all my first dates, I just take them to a taco truck so that way they know they're not getting my money." It's crazy, dude. He
what
was actually nice to me, but he was a full-on Viking. His name was Thor's son. You know what I mean? And a lot of them were Vikings. A lot of them were Norwegian. A lot of them were English, like real British English, like names like Taylor and stuff like that, like last names. And I never met any Jews.
so the
Maybe
Jews
a
might
single
be
Jew
like
that belonged.
the fall guy, because that's what I've been thinking is like, like whenever they're like, look over here, like that's where they want you to look. That's what they want you to focus on, and it's um the same way that, for a while I was convinced, I still am that was it Switzerland is the one that's always the Swissies, that one guy,
Are
what's
you
that
the
one
one who
channel?
sent me Homeland Security? I think you
Homeland, yeah.
did.
I did Homeland
Dude,
Security.
I love that guy though. He opened my mind to some shit. He's the
Dude,
one who joined all the meteorite cult to like all the alignments to the monuments around the world. The pyramid shoots straight through the Corinth Canal. Right? Obviously, the people in Corinth knew that they were aligning themselves to the pyramid. goes through the Omphalos, which that's another meteorite that falls, Saturn's vomited stone of
Mhm.
that Hera, or I mean Rhea gave in place of Zeus. Um, and it goes all the way to the London Stone in London, just a straight fucking line. The pyramids. It's like who? How? Did you guys go to space? That's the ancient astronaut theory. Um, I do think they had flying machines. Something, some kind of observatory. Hot air balloon seems the most likely. You can fashion a balloon by using animal organs or skin and sewing them all together, and then you need hydrogen or helium, and I think hydrogen would be the most likely. You need a lot of it. And you could fashion a hot air balloon, I think, in history. I don't think it's. I
Yeah,
mean, if they had telescopes, which I guarantee you they did, and if they could figure out camera obscuras, surely somebody could figure out a hot air balloon.
yeah. But yeah, like my whole point though about the Swissies is that, they're aren't they like the only country that's neutral? Like they've made it
Oh yeah,
very
yeah,
like
that's
a
because they hold all the money for all the financiers of war. They can't choose a side.
yeah, exactly. So to me, like when everyone's like, "Oh, the Jews run the world," I'm like, it's probably not. They're probably the fall
Yeah, then they'll
guys.
just
Like,
tell you they're Swiss Jews. And okay, yeah, I'm sure some of them are Jewish, but you also realize like there's people hiding underneath Jewish names that aren't actually Jewish at all. Why would somebody
yeah,
hide under somebody's Jewish name? Because they don't want you to know where they actually come from. You
yeah,
ever think of that? You ever
right.
think that maybe if somebody had a Russian name, a Ukrainian name, and they were high up in American politics, they might want to change that?
Well, and
Never think of it?
how convenient too to be the one country that doesn't have like a homeland or whatever. So like, like the nomads of like, they've just gone from
That's
country to
true. I mean,
country.
you look at the Jewish diaspora, it stretches from Portugal to Japan. They had Japanese Jews in the 1500s.
Wow.
Uh, they really were scattered. I believe the siege of Jerusalem happened. There's tons of evidence that points to that.
Mm,
They went everywhere, and they were expelled. And the reason why they became this stereotype of lawyers and loaners and bankers and money chippers and jewelers is because they were forbidden in almost every nation from doing any actual thing that could make them money. So they had to come up with ways to like make other money. Maybe I'm just spouting propaganda, but like I am ethnically Jewish.
Are
I'm
you?
not a part of any cabal. I'm not. Nobody told me any secret Illuminati secret, and
Are-
actually, Israel rejected my free trip to Israel because they
So,
said I wasn't Jewish enough.
oh wait, so you actually tried to go and
Yeah,
they
I sent them a very terse email after they rejected me. I was like, you know what? You don't get to say who's Jewish enough. That's what Hitler did.
Oh
Don't like
man,
that.
you're not making yourself look too good here. You worked for the Bohemian guys. You're
I
technically
know, I
Jewish.
know, but well, no, okay. There's something watching over me, and I'm very open. My grandfather worked for NASA, like a
What?
private contractor for NASA and Lockheed Martin. I'm not making any of that up. But my
What?
parents were not, aside from like Catholic Jesuit fraternity and sorority, like they didn't impart anything on me. And in fact, I'm estranged from my family. I separated myself from my family to follow after God because I did recognize the curse that my family was held over it. And I think more people in life need to understand that freedom. I think we've talked about this before.
Mhm.
Like sometimes family can hold you back. Sometimes blood, like familial curses, generational curses are real. And if you have Freemason bloodlines, which I do, my ancestors come from the Templar capital of the world during its day. They had to flee because the Catholics were killing everybody. They but my ancestors were Templars. They came to America as Templars, and in fact, my first ancestor to set foot in New York was the 1%. It was 1660. And within one generation, he lost all that wealth. My dad has 100 first cousins, and my grandmother was one of 18. Like, I'm not of any special bloodline or I'm not hiding anything from people. I'm as open as I can be. I just try not to share my identity with people because I got family
Yeah.
and I say shit.
Are you RH negative or are you like a
My
positive?
what?
Are you RH negative or what's your blood type, do you know?
Oh, I'm positive.
Or you're like a or a B positive or something?
I don't want to
You
tell
got
people my blood type. I'll tell you I'm Rh
you g-
positive.
you got monkey blood in you, or are you
No, I
negative?
just believe in witchcraft, and I don't know what people do with that information. I mean, you
Oh,
can
word.
type the army types personalities based off of blood type. Did you know that?
No, I did not know
Uh,
that.
A's are typically planners because they get a little bit too neurotic in the field. Uh, B's are typically like medics because they can handle the high pressure. I cannot remember what ABs were. I never do, but O's were the aggressive soldiers that you send out on the front line. Like, they have
But
ways
isn't
of.
that's surprising because a O is like, isn't that like the universal blood donor? Like you'd think that they would want to like
Did
not
you just hear the
kill
words that
them.
came out of your mouth? Universal blood donor. Yeah, they're the ones who go shed the blood on the field.
Oh, wow. That's crazy. I never thought about that. That's not, no, it's just because most people that are RH negative are like very braggadocious about, and they're
See, like
usually really
psychics
smart,
are part of the yeah.
and they're usually
Well,
very smart too. So I don't
I'm
know.
very little Jewish. My mother got DNA testing when I was in my 20s, so I wasn't even raised Jewish. I was Catholic, far from Catholicism now. But I'm like 12%.
Oh, okay. Word.
And I wasn't raised Jewish. I didn't go to any synagogue. I didn't have a bar mitzvah or anything like that. So that's what I'm saying. The Jews think I'm anathema. The Christians think I'm anathema. I'm just anathema. It's fine. Whatever. Hate me. I don't care. You don't know me.
Word. I'm sorry. I'm not trying to like ask you a bunch of like personal questions and get you to
If
like,
you gotta validate whether or not I'm a Freemason, CIA agent coming in to like fuck up your shit, like
are
just
you a
know.
traveling? I just have to
Well,
ask, are you a traveling man?
what does that mean?
Oh, you've never heard that with all your Freemasonry like knowledge, you don't know what that means, a traveling man?
I got weird holes though. I'm a weird obsessive.
It just means that you're a Mason. Like that's like a code for like when they're talking to each other that like
There's so much of that stuff though. Who has time to memorize it all? So I suck at knots. Like that's my big secret. I
it
really
was
can't even tie my shoes. Um, who
it
has
was
time to
like
memorize all these like little handshakes and twisties? And,
yeah, no, it was a popular thing to ask people like, back when I was starting to get into flat earth like 10 years ago,
funny
that
thing
was like
is
a
like
common.
I do travel.
I know that's what I mean, I get like I've a couple of people that I talk to that are kind of new to flat Earth, like were like didn't understand it. They're like, "Well, it could just mean that you're like like you travel." And I'm like, "Yeah, I know, I get that, but that it means something in Freemasonry, and it was definitely like it was something that was asked people would normally ask each other that back in the day in the conspiracy world, and usually it was pretty like well known that that its affiliation with the masonry and identifying each other and stuff like that. But um, yeah, I'm gonna play just as funny videos to show because I mean I personally like that improbable dreamer guy, even though like yeah he
Yeah,
has
well, this
shown
one's
some
not
AI.
improbable. You like
What?
improbable dreamer?
I do. I'm sub to him. Like I think it, or not sub, but I follow him. But I do agree with you that some of this, like some of the stuff he's pointed out, I'm like, oh, that's AI. Oh, that's not true. Like
He's
whatever.
done so much
But
intentional AI, and people forget how far AI has come in just 2 years. Like you used to really be able to tell when somebody was using an AI image, like, and that's
yeah,
why they had to slap the sepia or the black and white filter over it because
I
it's
know.
like
But you did so perfectly with like even though like I mean, there's lots of people that I like that you probably hate and whatever. But I can
I
still have
don't
a sense
hate
of
anybody.
humor,
I suspect some people are bad actors, and others I think are just shucking and jiving the best way they can.
right?
There's if there's one rival I ever had, like if you need juice or whatever, like I did not like my Maria 777. I really
I,
think she had somebody following me and sending her shit. I tried to introduce her to Meteorite Cult a long, long time ago, and she was very rude. And I was like, I'm picking a bone with you now. And as I followed her more and more and more, she's super sus, bro. Like,
yeah. I don't even know who that is, so I couldn't even say.
He's a person.
I just think it's good to have a sense of humor about like, even though like I like some of his stuff and even though I agree with some of the stuff he says, like I still like just the way that you like mimic him and it's just so funny. It's perfect. So I'm gonna play it really quick
Phosphate.
'cause it's so good.
Special spirit things, you need to get it. So here we have black, as you can see the code 2, 20, 46, 2, 1. Then we have lives, with lives, alpha, alpha, 2, 4, 6, 21. Okay, and then matter, okay, so P, 0, 0, P, I, 3. See, this really matters. Matter. Black lives matter. That is matter.
Signs of our realm's buried past, hidden in plain sight. History written before
Oh, I
our
love this. Like,
eyes. Technology
this is the thing.
reinvented, enshrouded in Marvel movies. Once people started realizing that the they are lying to us each and every day, more awakened to how and where and who the real fragments of our past
Mitchell and Man.
must be uncovered by accounts like me, using artificial intelligence photos to gain followers and reveal the truth to you, the millions who cannot corroborate my extremely esoteric history of our entire shared realm. The truth is finally being heard. Until next time.
Anyways, I just had to share that because that was too funny.
That was a
Um,
long time ago. It was funny. Oh, it's clear. The signs of our realms hidden past.
he sounded just like him.
I watched a lot of his videos to do that one. Like most of what I was saying was like just scripted from him because he has lines he says over and over and over.
Oh yeah,
The
for sure. Well, there
signs
was
of our realms hidden past.
what was the thing that he always says at the end that I think you missed, but it was like the one thing he always says at the end, like until next time or something. I forget what he
Until
says at the
next
end.
time.
But it's same thing with like
He
the
got
mind and
retweeted by Joe Rogan. Do you believe that shit?
same thing with
That's a
like
good tweet.
same thing with like Mind Unveiled. Like I love Mind Unveiled. Like I watch a lot of their stuff, but then like they remind me of like the Improbable Dreamer guys sometimes, and like, um, that what's that other one? The Conspiracy Toys Are Us or Conspiracies Are Us or whatever. I've been watching that channel though
I don't
for
know that one.
10 years or whatever, but it's some of the stuff I'm like, I don't know, I might be reaching, but then some of the stuff is, it's entertainment. I enjoy it. I really like the giant tree stuff. I totally think that they've lied about a lot of stuff, so especially, you
Funny.
know,
It's entertaining. Like, and honestly, like I love the thought experiments, but I think the thing that gets to me is, I've been into conspiracy theories. Oh, I should give a warning here. Um, funny though. I've been into conspiracy theories. Like I was in middle school for 9/11. Cool. Did I lose you?
well, oh no, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Oh, I just
Oh,
stopped screen sharing.
okay.
But yeah,
Um, I've been into conspiracy theories since like 9/11. Like I can remember on whatever video hosting website there was before YouTube, like it would be you. I remember watching the missile in the Pentagon video. Do you remember that? The missile flying
yes.
into the side of the Pentagon instead of an airplane.
Yes, I do remember that.
Yeah, it's like webcam like level resolution too. But that's how long I've been into this stuff and I've taken it seriously. I mean, I've gone down so many rabbit holes. What was that? There used to be a blog site that was like 2011, 2012. They were the main conspiracy site. I was all over that stuff for a really, really, really long time. And what I see ever since COVID is this just commercialization and exploitation of conspiracy theory. And it bothers me to
Well,
no end because it's like, dude, I want to be like Art Bell, like give me a radio show. And instead, it's like we got to deal with these talking heads who are just spouting like utter nonsense, with some of them actually being counterintelligence agents to influence the conversation away from things that matter. Like, what the fuck's up with this Epstein list? Does everybody realize that the Epstein list is declassified? You can Google Epstein Black Book, Little Black Book, unredacted, uncensored, whatever, and you can just read through it yourself, and you can go to all their Wikipedia pages. Most of them have Wikipedia pages. Like, nobody's keeping these secrets from you. They're distracting you from them.
Right. I
It's
agree
with
with
stuff
that.
like flat Earth is cool. Don't get me wrong, and like if flat Earth is true, like that is colossal. Like that basically means we never went to the moon. This what it means. And now that we can finally put the nail in that coffin, like holy shit, maybe the CIA really did kill a whole bunch of Americans. You know what I mean? But we can't get there for some reason because it always comes back to, well, the government would never do that. Well, they have. And they've done it a lot, and they're still doing it. They're doing it right now as we speak with AI. Everything that's cooking is it's not fun paradise golden age of America we're headed towards. We're headed towards an AI dystopian hell akin to Ready Player One. Everybody's going to want to plug into their little metaverse, their little holographic reality, and they're just not going to want to go outside anymore because it's too sad. The
Yep.
destruction, the poverty. You turned me on to that show, Peripheral, right?
Yeah. That
Yeah,
shit's a
like
trip.
I think it's pretty. That one's pretty spot on. Like, there's going to be a cataclysm here. I don't know what it looks like. I'm not trying to be a doomer. I personally believe, the Lord is coming. He's here. But what I mean is, like, death and destruction in the end days is not what people think. It's not people disappearing in pie in the sky. We're finally going to end this age of man where we think we know best. We know better than nature. We know better than God. And we finally start waking up and paying attention to the things that matter. And I think there's going to be an inward spiritual revolution that nobody can see and nobody can stop. And it's not this, like, they will try to force this and bottleneck people into a false awakening, a Gnostic, pagan, whatever you want to call it, this new age shit where it's like, I am a god. You're not. You're human. You're somewhere in between, and you can become one, but it's not on your own. You have to have help. You have to have help from somebody who knows and has already done it. And I'm not saying has
From the
become a god.
Freemasons. I'm just joking.
Yeah,
Sorry.
no, they teach that you can do it on your own. And what Christianity, what Jesus, what Judaism, what they teach is you can't do it on your own. You have to have divine help. And that's the only way to take that limit. And until you recognize that you need that help, none of it matters. It's all vanity in the meantime. Your search for immortality by ejaculating into a meteorite. Like, what the fuck is it gonna do? But I do want to say, in conclusion, on the meteorite cult, what I do think where it's headed is AI is connected. I think they want to reconstruct Jurassic Park style DNA of a former god, deity, a mummy, a pharaoh. They have the Getty, the Getty Museum has uh, uh, Ramses the Second's DNA, and they're the only people on Earth who have his DNA because they irradiated the body after they took the DNA samples. They made it impossible for anybody else to get its DNA. Getty Museum has their own conspiracy theories. But I think what they're going to do is they're going to create a Frankenstein, an AI Frankenstein of a god, of Osiris. And people are going to bow down and worship him. Everybody, not the fucking idiots. But I think that that's their ultimate game plan. And if they can embed that into somebody's brain using a physical neural link, because maybe this spiritual possession isn't enough for them. Maybe they want a physical possession. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm getting off topic here, but
No, I
I
agree. I think
I
there's
really think that that's where they ultimately want to head with all of these MK Ultra evil mastermind Illuminati plans. Is ultimately culminating not in an AI god because I don't believe AI can ever be sentient. It doesn't have a soul, but an AI assisted resurrected deity. And I think that's where that's come down the pipeline at some point.
yeah.
Something like that. It'll probably be an illusion. I don't think you can really fucking resurrect something like
Yeah.
Frankenstein.
Yeah,
It won't happen.
they'll convince everybody that's what's happening. Like it'll be just another psyop. Like it'll, like I don't know. I definitely um
Enough people got vaccinated.
not if you what did you say?
I said enough people got vaccinated. I'm sure they can fool them in that Osiris has returned from the dead.
Right. Right. Oh,
Look at
jeez.
our flag. Look at our seal. It's not an eagle. It's a phoenix. The The Bennu stone, you pulled it up in that video. Osiris Rex, that meteorite that they sent a little spaceship to capture a DNA sample. To capture a DNA sample. They found DNA on Osiris Rex. It's called Osiris the King, the meteorite. And the other one is called Bennu, the phoenix, which is Osiris. They're talking about it right in front of us. They want to resurrect something. What? I
Yeah,
think it's Nimrod. I think it's Osiris. They're Antichrist.
right. I think you should um make some videos like shorter, like I like the short ones you do, but not like longer than the ones you've been doing, but shorter than like our hangout that just like breaks down the meteorite cult like a little bit more. I think like um I don't know. I think you're onto something. Make your predictions. Who cares if people think you're a prophet or whatever, but you've been right
Oh
so
no, I
far
am not
so
a
many
prophet.
times.
Oh no,
Not
those
like a real
people get
prophet.
stoned.
Not
I don't want to be stoned.
not like a biblical like prophet, but I'm just saying that like if you want to make some predictions, like I'd say go for it. Fuck what other people think, and if they're gonna. I mean, you've been right enough times already on your predictions. You might as well like have like a show dedicated to all the predictions that you have. You know what I mean? Like I don't know. I just throwing that out there. But
I'm definitely exploring things. I think I'm gonna start doing more long form videos instead of short form
yeah, no,
because I just
I
don't know
like
how to get all this in there.
yeah, I like listening to you go on your tangents about all this stuff, so I'm really glad that you agreed to come on. I wasn't sure. I don't do this normally. Like I, talked about Upward Earth a little bit because it's interests me and all the stuff you've covered interests me. So, but yeah, I need to go grill up some chicken right now on the grill because I have some parties to plan for in the future, so I'm going to take off. But thank you so much for your time, and I think we should have a part two and do more hangouts like this because I'm totally entertained by all of this for sure. So yeah.
Wow, it's been great. I don't have enough people to talk to about this stuff. This is why it's all in my head. No, we should definitely do a part two. Uh, I've got some personal stuff going on in my life right now, but
Yeah.
I so I'm not producing the same short form video I've been making for the past half year anymore. But Disillusion Druid, YouTube, X,
Word.
well on X it's Disil Druid. On Instagram it's Disillusion Druid. On Reddit, go to True Conspiracy Memes and like post there if you like care. Otherwise, uh,
Yeah.
viewers, if you want me back on, just say so. Say so in the
He-
comments.
Yeah, and
I'll
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 put
let you
your
go.
I'll put your links in the description too. So any links that you have that you want them to have, I'll put in the description and they can contact you that way if somebody else wants to pick your brain
I'm
about
pretty
more stuff.
responsive on Instagram, just so people know. Like I will message you.
Yeah.
I'm not playing some weird. I'm too cool.
That's how we started talking shit. Like I don't think you're AI. You seem like a real person. So you might be Osiris. I don't know. And you guys have a good
I
night
hope I'm
and
not the Antichrist because if I'm a hell of a sleeper agent, and I don't trust myself sometimes. I was
that's
definitely
what I was that's what I
some
was
failed MK Ultra experiment.
Oh, I mean, yeah, we'll talk about this more later, but anyways,
Oh yeah, oh
toodles.
yeah. Just wait to hear the story of Druid, folks. This doesn't even end there.
All right, I'm ending now. Bye.